Alright.
I'm gonna have to sync that on one and not go, cause
Yeah, I
whatever.
didn't do go.
Okay, whatever.
It's like when you're playing rock, paper, scissors and they're like, do we go on three or do we go on shoot? And it's like, bitch, the fuck is shoot?
I grew up with shoot.
Yeah, you grew up with bullshit.
I was in gym one time and I was goalie for like we're playing soccer or whatever. And I was
Yeah.
goalie and the other guy was goalie and apparently in soccer they have the two goalies come out and like throw a dice or do rock paper scissors or whatever. And so I
Huh.
went out and it was this super popular kid by the way.
Oh
And
shit, the jock.
he wasn't exactly a jock, he was a drama kid, but he was super cool.
Oh.
He gave me a nickname that never I'm not going to share the nickname because I will be forever remembered as it. So
Oh, was it the
don't you dare. I'm
fucking...
going to have to cut it out if you say it.
Is it the one you've told me about?
It's the opposite of my name.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. His name was Jeff. I can say his name. He was a cool dude. I love him. He
I
was the
mean,
one who
as long
yelled at a
as...
teacher one time. Anyway, we went out to play rock paper scissors, and everybody was watching, and I did the shoot, but he didn't.
Oh.
So it was this awkward conversation. It was this like awkward exchange. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And the gym teacher was on my side. He's like, rock paper scissors shoot, and Jeff's like, what? What are you talking about?
The fuck is shoot?
So we just decided on doing it his way. It was this super awkward exchange. It was like rock paper scissors and shoot, and I was like, huh? Because
Fucking
nobody
crap.
did what I did.
Yeah, that's fucking worse.
It is. I had a
It's like
lot
when...
of bad situations like that in school. Just embarrassing.
That's like when you grow up your whole life saying a word wrong, but you never say it in front of anyone, so you don't know that you're saying it wrong until you say it in front of people.
I don't know what that
And when you...
is. What word would you not say in front of other people?
I don't know, you started making fun of me when you heard how I pronounced roof.
What'd you say?
Roof. Like, the ceiling.
Oh, okay. That wasn't me making fun of how you pronounced it. You went robot voice.
Oh.
I just want that to be apparent to the people who are listening, because it won't sound like anything to them. It'll just be on
Yeah,
my
'cause...
end.
Yeah,
You were
'cause
like,
it'll be
"Rrrr."
confusing.
And I was like, what the fuck did you just say?
No, like you, when you first heard me say roof, you were like, "Do you mean roof?" And
It's
I'm like,
roof.
"No, the roof."
I guess
At
it's
least the
a
roof.
family thing.
Yeah, I mean, I pronounce a lot of stuff weird. I call shepherd's pie Chinese pie.
Why?
I think it's a New England thing. My grandfather said it, so my father said it, so his children said
Well,
it.
like it comes from a really old story of how shepherd's pie was a thing.
I mean,
I'm
it
not
makes
gonna tell the
sense.
story because it's super fucking stupid.
No, but we used to always call it Chinese pie. There's a lot of stuff that we called weird names. Whenever we were having bratwurst, we just called them brats. Whenever we were
Well, that's
having
some brats,
cubed,
brah.
whenever we were having cubed steak, we'd call it minute steaks because they cook super fast. I mean, like, there's a lot of shit like that where we just called it different things because that's what my parents called it.
It's a little weird, but whatever. I get it. I don't think my
I
family
mean,
had any of that. We were raised pretty well.
it could have been worse. My parents could have taught me that Coke is all soda. The people who call all soda Coke are fucking weird. If you call all soda Coke, unsubscribe from Grace's channel right now.
That's my other 25 viewers.
No, but like, you go to a fucking
You
restaurant.
ostracized the neo-Nazis last podcast, and now you're ostracizing the Coke guys. What's wrong with you, dude? You're
Imagine
cutting
going
my
to a
entire
restaurant.
audience.
You go to a restaurant and you say, I'd like a soda, or I'd like a pop, or something, and they'll ask, like, what kind of soda do you want? But you wouldn't go there and say, let me get a Coke, and they would ask, what kind of Coke do you want? Like, that sounds fucking weird.
I mean, if I was a waiter and somebody came up and was like, "I'd like Coke," I would ask, "Yeah, what flavor Coke would you like?"
Sometimes when I'm working, people will be like, can I get Dr. Pepper? I'm like, we don't have Dr. Pepper. Is Mr. Pibb cool? And they'll be like, oh, totally. And I'm just thinking, man, Mr. Pibb isn't as good as Dr. Pepper.
What flavor is Dr. Pepper? Can you describe
uh,
the flavor of Dr. Pepper for me?
yeah, it's supposed to be taste like plums or prunes.
This is not true at all.
Yeah, that's actually true.
That
It's
is
like a
not it.
prune-based soda. If you look it up, then that's what like the like key flavor in there is supposed to be.
That I'm gonna be really upset if that's true.
I'm pretty sure it used to taste more like prunes or plums. It's one of the two.
That was the equivalent of like the whole fucking like Clamato guys and them going like,
Ugh,
you know what? We are trying to combine the awesome taste of tomato with the salty taste of clam. Do you know what
that's
this needs?
gross.
More tomato.
Why would you make juice out of that? You wouldn't drink clam juice.
I've drunk some weird shit before. The thing is that I'm the type of person to like do shit out of spite, and you know that.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody was like, I bet that you won't cut off your finger, I would cut my finger off just to fucking spite them, because that's the
Jesus
type of
Christ.
person I am. So at one point, my mother was like, "Hey, would you like anything from Sonic or whatever?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And she goes, "You should probably get something from Sonic. I mean, this is dinner." And I'm like, "I ate lunch and I ate breakfast. I'm fine." And she goes, "You're gonna get something from Sonic, or I'm gonna order for you." And I go, "All right, I would like 6 chili cheese dogs and a
Jesus.
large Route 44 of cranberry juice."
That's disgusting.
And
You
she
don't
was
like
like,
cranberry
"Okay,
juice.
fine."
I thought you hated cranberry juice.
I do hate cranberry juice, but I drank that entire cup. I drank
That's gross.
all of it. I did the same thing one time. We were going to 7-Eleven and it was after school, and she was like, "All right, I need to get gas anyway, so you guys can go and pick out something." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good." And she goes, "You should go get something from the inside of the convenience store." And I'm like, "You know what? Fine." So I went and I picked out like beet juice. And I
Jeez.
drank all of that beet juice. And I'm going to be honest with you, it didn't taste as bad as I thought it would. I wasn't expecting beet juice to be okay.
Fucking.
I wouldn't drink it of my own volition again. But it was a welcome experience, you know?
You know, the other day I was at work and I was just walking around, fucking bussing tables and shit, taking orders. And I thought of something really weird. I realized that I'm basically like a poorly written Saturday morning cartoon character.
I could have
Like,
told you that.
when I'm talking to people online, I talk like a cross between a bastardized person from Texas and like a skater from the 80s. I'm like if Rocket Power introduced a character that was just like a cowgirl. And she's like, "Howdy, y'all. You want to pop some sick grommets?" It's like,
The fuck does grommet mean?
it's. But like, also, I always wear the hat. Like, I've got almost like a character design to the way I dress. Like, I always wear the hat, and I've always got the eyeliner thing going on. I was thinking, like, oh, fuck. I'm basically a badly written cartoon character.
Okay, can we talk about the photo you sent me yesterday?
Oh, yeah, I love that picture.
Okay, am I allowed to show it on screen? Because I could totally do that. Have people seen your face, or do you want me to blur your face out?
People have seen my face. I'd prefer if you didn't post that picture just because it's gross looking.
Alright, I'm going to blur your face out if I do end up showing it on screen. Let me
Yeah.
describe it to you, and the off chance that I somehow can't import it from my phone. It's Claire texting me the caption, "I'm hanging out with my coworkers at work," I think is what you said to me.
Yeah, it was chilling with the coworker.
And it's you smiling with, like, a skull on your shoulder. And I was like, I in my head, I'm like, all right, I have just worked an 8-hour day, and I'm too tired for this shit. So I just sent you back like a photo of me in my car with a pantomiming gun to my head, going,
Yeah.
"Crippling depression tastes so good." What was that? Where'd you get the skull?
I went upstairs into our break room, and there was just leftover Halloween decorations. There's like a shitload of spiderweb, and there was just this fucking skull sitting there. And so I was like, fuck it, and I picked up the skull and took a selfie. And I was like, just chilling with the coworker.
What was that? Would you send me back afterwards? You're like, "My phone gets bad resolution, so the photo you sent me makes you look like a compressed serial killer."
Yeah, you look so bad on my phone. Cause like, imagine the picture you took, and now imagine that it's like
In
smushed.
144p.
Yeah, in 144p, about the size of like, I don't know, of fucking an iPod Nano. Like, it's a tiny and terrible looking picture.
I think my response to that was I've been called worse names, like a non-compressed fat serial killer.
Yeah.
It was a weird exchange. And then I went home. I grabbed a milkshake from Sonic and I went home because I have no standards for the food that I eat anymore.
Yeah, but while I was thinking about the whole, like I'm a badly written cartoon character, I began thinking a lot about it. Like, okay, well, if this was a cartoon, then we would have to do like a Blast to the Past episode where it shows how I discovered the hat. And like, for a solid hour and a half while I was walking around bussing tables, I was just thinking, like, what led to this hat just becoming part of who I am?
I'm imagining your final conclusion was like you walking down the street and some like cryptic wizard looking dude who's naked underneath his trench coat like pulls out a hat and goes, "Hey, you want this hat?" And like shoves it at you and just runs down the alley.
It's funny, because I actually was thinking about talking about where the hat came from, and I couldn't figure out, like, where I would even post that if I talked about it, but I realized that the podcast is perfect, because, I don't know if other people would find it interesting, but I find the story behind it actually a little bit interesting.
Claire, I have a standard for the content that I upload to my channel, and I do not appreciate you breaching the conduct that I have placed so far. My Nautilon video adheres to all the guidelines that YouTube has offered me.
Listen, Claire, if your bullshit hat story doesn't have Adolf Hitler or memes in it, I can't allow it on my channel.
Go ahead, tell the story, whatever. We should probably get to the main topic that we're going to talk about today eventually, but this is fine. I'm fine with the banter.
This is a pretty interesting story. You know part of it, but not all of it.
I don't really remember a hat you're talking... Are you talking about the beanie?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So this is a weird story. For those of you that don't know, about 5-6 years ago, I discovered the magical world that is internet fandoms. And being like, on the younger side, because it was like 6 years ago, I thought that this fandom thing was kind of magical, because you could be around a lot of people who thought the same shit as you. And I didn't realize how that could potentially introduce a hug box situation where, it's not actually healthy. But, yeah, to get to the point that I've been dancing around, I became a brony. Which, not the most, not my proudest moment.
Gonna add a dramatic pause and the dun dun dun. And I'm gonna like the whatever thumbnail I'm gonna fucking make. By the way, I don't know what thumbnail we're gonna make for this video. I'm just gonna like pick a phrase out of what we say. I'm just gonna like draw it, I guess.
I'm sure I could come up with something good if we come up with a good name for
it.
Well,
we're only 13 minutes in, so I don't know what we're even gonna call this podcast. But I just imagine me shaking it around a whole bunch.
Yeah, but so I don't know. To be fair, to this day, I still don't think My Little Pony is the worst show in the world, but I think that when I first got into it, I was giving it way too much credit. Because a lot of people, when they discover this fandom and they discover this show, they'll talk to you about how secretly adult this show is. And those people are fucking liars. I'm just gonna say it right out. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is probably the least adult thing you could ever watch. Aside from, like, I don't know, something on Sprout or something.
Caillou's pretty non-adult.
The show does not attempt to be, like, some groundbreaking, amazing, deep masterpiece. It's a fucking cute show for little girls. And, when I got into it, I liked it because it was a cute show for little girls. And I started, doing stuff in the fandom because I found other people who felt that way.
Okay, this may sound offensive here. Do you think that, like, that was a good foreshadow for what you ended up transforming yourself into and figuring out yourself?
Like, figuring out that I was trans?
Yeah, do you think that, like, that was a good foreshadow? You're like, oh, well, actually, this show is designed for small girl children.
To a degree, I think that the whole getting as into My Little Pony as I did was sort of a way for me to, like, take back the childhood that I never really had. Because, like, I I always have kind of known that I was trans, but, it isn't something you can really accept yourself until you really just buckle down and give yourself no choice. So at this point in my life, I'm just sort of trying not to think about it, but watching this show for little girls makes me feel kind of childlike, and it makes me feel kind of happy. And I don't know why, but the fandom makes me feel happy. And so I just sort of get into it. And, I would definitely say that I wouldn't have come out as soon as I did if I wasn't a part of the fandom. But that's just because, like, I don't know, they gave out, like, this aura of acceptance where it's like, motherfucker, we're watching a show called My Little Pony. We've set the lowest possible bar. There's nothing you could do that we wouldn't accept you for.
Except, write terrible erotic fan fiction about it.
Oh no, I knew lots of people who did that and everyone liked them. It was never good. I mean, like, it's kind of implied that it isn't good. It's My Little Pony fan fiction.
Now I'm talking about
But-
the people who did it unironically. Because there's
No,
a difference.
I know.
But there's a difference between. By the way, you are going to read the fan fiction I wrote eventually.
Maybe. Probably not.
There's a difference between me writing a joke erotic fan fiction about us, and like
And someone
somebody
actually,
non-ironically going, "I think Fluttershy is the best pony
Someone
ever."
beating their meat to the words they wrote.
Yeah, I don't. There's kind of a
No.
difference there, don't you think?
Oh, well, of course. But I'm saying that, like, I knew a lot of people who...
It's like Ice
unironically
JJ
wrote
Fish
fanfiction.
going, "I make good music."
I still think that dude is trolling. But,
No, he's like commented before. Why are you guys so mean?
So, like, I get into this fandom, and, at first I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with it, because it's just sort of random people saying, I'm a brony, and then posting My Little Pony shit. And a lot of people calling them a faggot and stuff for that. But eventually I find a subreddit on Reddit, and it is called the MLP Lounge. But everyone who went to it just called it the Plounge. And, I don't know, it was weird. It wasn't entirely even related to My Little Pony. Like, it was My Little Pony themed, but barely anyone ever talked about the show on it. So it was basically just like, hey, here's some people that have a similar interest to you, why don't you socialize? And because I didn't have a lot of friends at the time, as I'd imagine most people who become bronies don't, I joined the subreddit. And, I joined it under a very old account. I'm not gonna say the account name. I don't think anybody from the Plounge is gonna listen to this, but I'd prefer they didn't know who I am, because, I'll get into that. But I joined the Plounge, and there are all these people who are so nice. Like, everyone's just really chill, and they just talk about whatever, they shitpost all day, and I'm thinking, yeah, these people seem cool. And it's around this time that I start getting a little bit more bold in my enjoyment of the show. I download a program called Desktop Ponies that makes the horses from the show dance around on your screen when you're idle. And, I finally make the... I don't know if you would call it a good decision or not, to, purchase some merchandise. To purge the merch, as they say.
Nobody says that.
Nobody says that.
Nobody says that.
I go on a website called WeLoveFine, which is basically like an internet hot topic. I'm not even gonna dance around it. It's just like, hey, do you want this Invader Zim Gur shirt? You can get it here. Like, it's that kind of shit. But they have a deal going on at the time, and it's, you spend $25 on My Little Pony merchandise, you'll get a couple buttons, and you'll get this bag. It's like the same material that the reusable shopping bags are made out of, but like 6 times as big. And it's got a cool design on it, and I want that shit. So instead of just buying a hoodie, I throw in a $5 beanie. It's a gray beanie, like a heather gray color, and around the bottom rim of it, it has one of the pony's heads on it. It's a gray horse with yellow hair. I'm sure Grayson can put up a picture of it. Its original name was like Dinky Doo, but because of an animation error that made its eyes look in 2 different directions, everybody in the fandom just started calling it Derpy Hooves. And so I get this hat, and I've never worn a hat before. I mean, of course I've worn a hat, but I mean, I've never made a hat part of my wardrobe before. But it's winter, and I have a beanie, and it's cold, so I say fuck it, and I start wearing it. And I realize that I kind of like it. And I start taking pictures of myself for face threads and stuff on the lounge. And every time I take a picture, I've got the hat on. And that's how people come to sort of recognize me. I'm, the person with the hat on, the extremely androgynous person with the hat on. Because at the time, nobody could tell what I was. Which, I did not dislike at all. Like, androgynous is better than leaning all the way in the wrong way. Anyways, though, I start wearing the hat more and more, and it just sort of becomes something that I wear, It's like you get a new hoodie that you really like, and you just wear it a few times, but then you realize that you're wearing it with practically every outfit you have. And I started shaping outfits around wearing this hat. I started, doing my hair in a way that complemented the hat. And, a couple years go by, my activity on the lounge has dwindled greatly. I deleted an account, then made a new one, then deleted that account, then made a new one, because of problems in my life that made me think I'd be better off without Reddit coming and going. Then I get a boyfriend, and, to any viewers listening who are, under the age of 18, I know you may think that because you're 16 or 17 you're an adult, and I think you probably think that you can be with anyone that you think you love. And I'm not gonna judge you for what you do, but listen, don't date a dude who's a decade older than you. That's what I did. I was dating a guy who, I won't say his name because, name dropping is not cool.
Jeff?
But Jeff?
Fucking Jeff.
No, but, I date this guy, and he's 10 years older than me. He... I don't know. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. I was nice to him, and not many people were nice to him, so there was a sort of infatuation that happened. And, I was lonely at the time, so I thought dating any guy would be better than no guy.
So, okay, I don't want to interrupt here, but, so we've heard the story of how you got the hat, Claire.
I know, it's...
Are you gonna keep going until you hit why you don't use Reddit anymore?
No, basically, and there's more stuff about a different hat. Like, the whole story's interesting.
Is it?
But,
Are we getting to the good part?
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
Do you turn out to be a cyborg from the future?
His birthday comes up, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm broke, what do I get him? And I look at this hat that I've had for 4 years, and I think, I like this hat. He knows how important this is to me, so I send it to him. And now I don't have a hat. And then a couple months later we break up. And so now my hat's gone.
Now you really don't have a hat.
And so I go to the store and I just buy a new one, a different hat, no pony on it this time. It's a magenta and black colored hat, and it looks really nice. But around this time, I realized that, I don't know, I started noticing really bad things about the lounge. And, this is sort of what this whole story has culminated to. Like, I say it was about the hat, but it's really, this is, the important part. And the part that I was thinking about for so long at work. When I first joined the lounge, there were people that people would joke about that called, power users. And a power user is basically just a person that everyone knows. Like, if everyone recognizes their name and everyone upvotes them, then they're considered the power users, because they can post anything and people will comment on it more than, say, some rando. And I was one of the power users for a while.
Bunch of bullshits.
So, everybody kind of knew me, and I sort of gained a reputation. Because, oh no, maybe this is too much information, but I was basically battling with severe depression at the time.
Oh, I'm gonna leave my Reddit story after this.
Okay. I was battling with depression, but I felt like maybe if I could make other people feel better, it would make me feel better. So I would always make these posts telling people not to give up, being sincerely hopeful and shit. And people kind of got to know me that I took on like a wounded healer figure where I would talk to everyone about their problems and I'd make people feel better. But as time went on, I realized that there was a trend going on where people online would get to know me really well, like first name basis. We'd talk every day, and then the moment that things got better for them, they would vanish. They would just bolt and stop being my friends because they no longer needed me. Okay, so I begin to realize that this is a common trend on the lounge in general, that people online, they're your friends and they're all nice and everything, but they're not actually good for helping with real problems. If you want someone to say everything will be okay and give internet hugs, then that's a place to go. But when you have real problems, it creates a sort of echo chamber. You talk about your problems and people say that you shouldn't talk about your problems because you'll bum people out, and everyone has the same opinion, so nobody ever really grows as a person when they're there. People just repeat the same bullshit back and forth to each other over and over again under the guise of we're all friends here, so we can just say the same shit that we all agree about. And I realized how unhealthy it is. And it's weird, one of the last posts that I ever made was a really long and ranty post that was completely different from anything I'd ever posted before, where I basically said, this place is nice, and the people are nice, and if you're here just to hang out, then you're here for a good reason, but people online are not your friends. And there are 10,000 users here, and they're not your friends. You might have a couple that you know extremely personally and you know in real life, and they could totally be your friends, but it's physically impossible for 10,000 people here to know you. And you're lying if you're pretending like all of them are your friends too. And a lot of people agreed. They said that, the lounge isn't a therapist, it isn't here to fix anything, but a lot of people got really mad at me for saying it. A lot of people thought that I was being cynical, and a lot of people thought that I was just being a downer. And, so depressingly enough, some of the very last posts I ever made on Reddit, on the lounge, made basically everyone hate me. I remember someone made a post after I finally deleted my last account asking where I had gone, and some people were concerned, but there was a gross amount of people who were just good fucking riddance. And it's weird. It's such a coming of age thing in my life where for the longest time it felt like my entire life hinged on a fucking show about colorful horses for little girls. There was a point in time where I literally thought, I don't know what I'm going to do if My Little Pony gets canceled. How depressing is that? That for a while, that was the big thing in my life. I was struggling to eat, and I was struggling to get up in the morning, but my big issue was, what will I do if the horse show goes away? And, I don't know. I don't think anybody that young listens to your stuff. But I feel like if they do, then it's really important to say that if you're young, there's nothing wrong with, getting into something, and there's nothing wrong with, going around with other people who are also into it, because it's fun being around people who think the way you do. But you need to be really careful with communities online, because what starts off seeming just like a nice place where everybody thinks the same way quickly can turn into this hug box echo chamber thing that just prevents anybody from growing as people. And, I don't know, that's where cringe compilations come from. I don't know. I'm not, I don't regret being on Reddit as much as I was when I was younger. It definitely served a purpose in my life, and it definitely helped me at the time. But thinking back to how into it I was and how big of a deal it was to me, it's... I don't know. It's weird. I mean, like, I met my now boyfriend because of it, so I can't say it's that terrible. But at the same time, like, I don't think I would recommend for any younger viewers to really get into a fandom. Like, at least as deeply as I did. 'Cause that shit, it doesn't end well. And eventually, you wake up one day, and you realize that all of those people you argued with on the internet about whether or not bronies are faggots were, maybe didn't lose as hard as you thought they did when you debated them. You know?
Well, okay, I'm not even gonna compare to that shit, dude.
Yeah,
my Reddit story isn't that interesting. I was on Reddit. You introduced me to Reddit, and I was like, man, this is fantastic. I love Reddit.
I remember that when I was like, hey, do you go to Reddit? And you're like, what's Reddit? And then I showed you the F7U12 portal.
I'm gonna be honest, the next 3 years after you showed me Reddit were kind of a blur. Because I would spend a lot. I basically went from YouTube to Reddit, and that was my whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I hit a point where I stopped lurking, and I started posting, and nobody liked me. So I was like, alright, fine, I just won't post anymore, and then I kind of lurked for a while more, and then I realized the same patterns that you saw of the entire community is really funny, and there are a lot of interesting people on there and stuff like that, but for the most part, the same communities over and over again are going to give you the same content over and over again. The same jokes are going to get repeated.
When you have so many people who think the same way, having repetition is kind of impossible to avoid.
I stopped using Reddit a long time ago, and now I barely go onto it unless somebody like shows me a Reddit post. If I see a Reddit post, now I'll still go onto it, but for the most part, I avoid it.
That's probably for the best.
It was a long time coming, but the kicker was there was a TIFU post, and it was this dude who I don't remember the exact details, but he somehow paid the wrong company the utilities for his corporation, because that's what he was in charge for, and so he paid the wrong company like $1.6 million.
Jesus Christ.
And his TIFU was like, I'm probably going to get fired. Like, that was the last sentence he had in his post, and I'm probably going to get fired on Monday. And so, sure enough, Monday rolls around, and he makes another TIFU post that says, I totally got fired. And people were not sympathetic at all towards his cause. And there was a specific reason that I left out an important detail in the first TIFU post, and it's that he used a specific dollar value. He's like, I paid the wrong company $1.6 million, $665,493. Like, he used the exact precise decimal number.
Why?
It's a stupid thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But solely because of that mistake, everybody, like, there was not a single positive comment. He got downvoted into oblivion, and everybody fucking hated him. And I realized, like, looking at that as an outsider, as a rational person, that these people are fucking idiots. That these are not rational people that you want to hang out with. That these are not people, if that was a person in real... I have made people cry for less. Like, I knew 1,000 people like that in high school, and I made them fucking bawl in public.
You see,
I don't seem like it, but I am really good at arguing with people. I can twist an argument against you faster than you would imagine. And I hate people like that. And so I was like, I can't believe I was in this community for so long and didn't realize how fucked up these people were.
It's kind of a problem with Reddit in general. The way subreddits are designed kind of inhibits intelligent discussion.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I very rarely ever see a logical, non-fallacious argument on Reddit.
I'm not saying that Reddit is 100% trash, because there's definitely good stuff on it.
It's not as bad as 4chan or like 8gag or whatever. It's much better. I don't know what other standard we're supposed to apply to. Whatever. Shut up.
That's one less gag.
I'm sorry. I have a better gag reflex than you.
But I don't know. I'm not gonna say that all of Reddit is garbage because some of it's good. You know, it's like 4chan or
You'll
Tumblr
occasionally
in that way.
come across a comment that you're like, that's fucking hilarious.
I'm just saying that it's sort of a problem with the idea of subreddits in general with some of these things, where a lot of people get together because they think the same way, but because they all think the same way,
Yeah, you're
nobody
basically
learns anything.
creating gated communities. I mean, that's a good example of what, like the whole thing with like slash news or slash Trump.
Yeah,
Like they would
exactly.
absolutely ignore and block you if you made even so much as a slightly controversial statement against Trump or against specific Democratic leaders in this slash news page. The
I think
mods are a bunch of assholes. I don't know how you become a mod, but like it's very, very different. Like you don't expect it to be that like xenophobic.
I mean, I think it's a problem with the internet in general. I mean, a lot of people look at Redditors and they say Redditors are all misogynistic, Redditors are all racist, they're all conservative, or they're liberal to a gross degree. Or people look at Tumblr and they're like, Tumblr's full of social justice warriors and demi-kin, like, weird shit. But the problem is that you're looking at these groups of
You're
people who.
creating generalizations. I've seen
It's less that
plenty of
you're.
Tumblr posts that are hilarious, and I'm like, man, I wish I got into Tumblr, but I'm not doing another fan thing where I get into a website and a forum and I just don't think about anything else. Because if I got into Tumblr, it'd be just a Reddit spiral all over again.
I mean, like, the problem is that, you look at these people, and because Reddit is segregated into these groups, because, like, the social justice warriors and the other kin on Tumblr stick together, it makes it look like there are these enormous frothing communities of these people. You know, you go to Reddit and you get attacked by like 10 people from the Red Pill because they're all from the Red Pill. And it makes it look like that's what this website is. Because it's sort of the problem with an echo chamber in general. If you have 20 people repeating the same shit back to each other, then the moment someone attempts to challenge that, the result is inherently going to be something really, like, vehemently angry and disgusting. Like, you have people on Tumblr who say back and forth to each other, feminism is good and anybody who disagrees is a misogynist, like, all day, every day. And then one day someone comes in and says, maybe some things feminists do are bad, and all of these people have suddenly had, like, the echo in the room broken. Suddenly, like, someone isn't just challenging this idea, they're challenging the way that these people think in general, because they've repeated this thing back to themselves so many times. And so it's why I think it's almost impossible to, like, get across actual intelligent discussion online, because the simple fact that you are a person online disagreeing with someone automatically invalidates your thoughts to some people.
I would like the record to be known that I did not bring up anything political this podcast. That was Claire first.
No, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, these
Yeah, I
ideals
get you
are,
were. It was an
you know,
example. I get it.
I'm not saying, we shouldn't talk about the red pill because that's gross, and we shouldn't get into feminism because that's a fucking minefield.
It's not a
But I'm.
minefield.
Oh, online it is.
I don't do online arguments. There's no credentials there. You go
You're
into Reddit and they're
posting.
like, girls should have the same rights as men. And you're like, what? Who are you? What are you doing? Like you don't. There's difference than a stupid feminist going on to like onto the news and talking about it. Because that's a face. You can assign a
No,
face to them.
I'm just saying that, like, on the internet in general, it feels like you're either one or the other extreme.
That's
It feels
not. I
like
mean,
you're.
that's. I see it, but I don't participate in it.
No, I know, but I'm saying you're posting content on the internet, so you should be conscious of, like, the potential, what's that word? The potential backlash.
I am one of the. I think I'm one of the people on this planet that understand the bliss that comes from being moderate.
Yeah. I don't know, there are very few people in the world that I'm just completely unmoderated around. Because everyone has their own shit they don't want to hear about. Like, I have a roommate who just can't do gross stuff. I showed them that sick animations video, the dip it in shit, and they
What?
almost vomited. I've never shown you that, I don't
Thank
think.
God.
It's funny, and it's like a stupid animation.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a scene where there's like a turd on the ground, and they take the corner of an apple pie and like dip it in it real quick. And they were gagging looking at that. And so I don't talk about that kind of stuff around them. And my other roommate has things that upset her, like I don't talk about horror stuff around her. I don't talk about as much of the dark stuff that I talk around you around her.
Is she the
Because
one? Are you talking? Or are we talking about Mrs. K?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the? Can we tell the story of you showing her my storytime video?
Oh yeah. So you didn't know this, but wait, maybe you did. Cat. Cut that out. I just said her name.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna replace every. I'm probably gonna have to replace Jeff earlier with a name that we're gonna have to pre-record and just slap over all of this.
Let's just pre-record like different fruit names for it.
Bob.
Just like, oh, Mrs. Apple,
Craner.
Cranberry, Kiwi fruit.
Oh man, I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do. God damn it! I wanted this to be an easy export.
It's fine.
Piece of shit.
But anyways, I was just going through all my likes, like on YouTube. And so I watched Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, because I fucking love that video. And I watched a couple others, but then your video was on it, your storytime video, and I just let it play, because I like that video. And Kat was listening to it, and it gets to the end where you're like, I never thought I could be more disappointed. And then Dark Souls 3 came out, and she just starts laughing, and then I like pause it, and she's like, is that fucking 9/11 in the background?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I made that video, I was in a very bad place in my life.
She thought it was fucking hysterical.
I believe your words for me were, I didn't know Grayson's humor was so dark, and I'm like, that was not my dark humor. It gets so much darker. Did I ever tell you the bathroom jokes that my friends and I made back in high school?
I don't think so. Oh wait, yeah, you did.
Okay, well, I haven't told it on the
think you've told them.
podcast, so I'm going to... Basically, and I'm not making light of the situation at all, but a kid shot himself in the upstairs bathroom at my high school. And he basically, after he died, they had a memorial or whatever, and they basically they renovated the bathroom and redid it, and they made it super nice, and they named it after him. And so it was a running joke between my friends and I to go, hey, Grayson, the locker room is pretty bad. Can you shoot yourself in the locker room so we can get it redone? Keep in mind, we were doing this in front of, like, teachers and other people, and they were getting mad at us. They were like, you're not allowed to make that joke, and I'm like, why not? It gets so much worse, man.
Fucking A.
Literally, the first thing I do when I walk into like a new classroom or like if you're like a first day of school and you have new classes and you go to each class, right?
Yeah.
The first thought that comes into my head whenever I go into a new classroom and with a new group of people is, if we're trapped in this room, who am I going to murder and eat first? Who is the weak link here?
I don't think I would taste very good if someone tried to eat me.
You would be surprised what I can do to doctor human flesh up.
I don't have a very good diet, though. I think I'd be mostly like... I don't know, I'd probably be like really stringy.
Did you know that humans are not FDA approved as meat?
I would imagine.
We take like so many drugs and we put too many chemicals in our body. The FDA does not deem human meat as real food. Like, if cannibalism wasn't illegal and murder wasn't illegal, and you were able to somehow donate your body to be eaten by somebody who wanted to try it, like, the FDA would not allow that, like, legally. Their standards are too high for us as meat.
Alright, well, so video games.
So, I'm like, hey, Claire, can you please make sure you have Friday off? And Claire was like, are we going to talk about politics again? And I go, I hope not. And so I was like, all right, we're going to come up with a list of static, non-changing, non-radicalizing topics,
Like,
And I
I'm
was
gonna be
like,
honest.
alright, we're gonna talk about video games.
I'm just gonna say it right out, like now. I I didn't feel good about recording shit about YouTube drama from the beginning.
Claire, we're talking about
If
video games.
I know, but I feel like the statement should be made about it
I
before
didn't
we
like
get
it
into
either,
it.
but it gave us a good conversation topic. It gave us a starting point.
It just feels like really trashy, you know? Because it's like, these are just random people that I don't know, and I'm talking about them. Like, I don't know. I was just thinking about it the other day, because, I don't know. If I had put up the podcast, I would probably take down the first two.
I've taken down
Yes.
one video before.
Hmm.
Did
Why'd
I
you
tell
take
you?
that
Did I
one
tell
down?
you that?
No?
I
Was it
don't
'cause
take
it was
down
offensive, or
videos.
just because it sucked?
Well, I keep up bad videos. Like my dusk rant from like a year ago when I was complaining about the precursor in Guild Wars 2. I left that up even though that has like 80% dislikes to 20% likes. And I leave up all my rants even though I hate all of my rants.
Yeah.
But the only video I took down was one of my vlogs. And it was because there was no substance in it. I wasn't doing anything. Like, I was honestly in my dorm room up at college, and I was like, hey, I should test out vlogging. And I tested it out, and I was like, this is a good idea to upload. And I uploaded it. And I'm like, thinking back at it now, I'm like, man, why did I do that? So I totally took that down.
I think it's sort of part of figuring yourself out as a channel. I've made a lot of different content before, but I have the horrible tendency to change my name every couple.
Oh yeah, you
months or
do.
years.
I finally found my name. I don't. But have we talked about this before? I don't know where the hell Nilruin came from.
Really?
I don't think we talked about this before, have we?
No, we haven't talked about where our names came from.
Well, what's yours? Red Rosy Maple Monogram or whatever?
It's been a few things. When I was first on
I like
Reddit,
Starstruck. I don't know why you got rid of that.
When I was first on Reddit, it was Brony Starstruck. It later just became Starstruck. For a while, it was Akarantia Psalm. Akarantia is the
Name of a moth, the big moth.
the Death's Head Hawk Moth. And then it became Weird Moth Girl, which is something that I still use in a
I
couple
like
places.
Weird Moth Girl. That works too.
And the final two is the one I used to use for my music was Rosy Maple Monogram because I liked it. It sounded nice, but I decided it's too long. So now the name that I think I'm gonna try to stick with is just Moth Ghost.
Moth Ghost.
Yeah, just Moth_Ghost.
All right, fine. We're doing that now.
I mean, like, I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, and I'm not gonna go too deeply into it because if I start, I won't stop for a couple hours.
Well, we're 49 minutes in, and a large majority of that was poop stories and your Reddit story. So this isn't exactly a plus podcast so far, but
I just want to say that, like, I'm really into moths. I'm not gonna go into all of the details why, but they're just, like, my favorite animal, basically.
they're adorable. I like manta rays.
Yeah, manta rays are cool.
I think manta rays are adorable. Like, I own like a plushy stingray.
I've said it before, if you told me that manta rays just came from space, I would believe you.
They look pretty weird. They're just like space
They
pancakes.
look like something that if you were going to the moon or something, you'd just see them floating by in space chilling. I don't know what they'd eat, but I'd believe it.
I like manta rays. They're cool. What was I talking about? My name. I don't know where the hell Nilruin came from. I'm going to be honest with you. I went through a lot of different usernames. I had a YouTube channel like, I don't know, 7 years ago. And I was a Dark Souls poster. And I absolutely hated everything that I posted, so I stopped after I got a couple copyright strikes. Because I used anime music in all of my videos.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
My channel is still up, by the way. I gave the channel to a friend who lives in, like, Texas. And I, like, here's all my footage. Because this is, like, right after Dark Souls 2 came out. I feel like I'm giving too much information. People are going to find out what my old channel was. But I basically gave him all the footage, and I'm like, here, have fun. You can have the channel. Here's the password and username information. And I'm like, change the password and the username so that I don't have access to it, so I'm not tempted. And so he did that, and he hasn't posted in like 2 years. He could totally be dead for all I know.
See, the problem with the way that I named all my stuff is that, I've accumulated a couple of fans over time for my music, because some people actually enjoy my covers and my original stuff. But I alienate all of my fans because I've changed my name like 3 times. So, like, the moment I started amassing a, like, tiny following, suddenly my name is Weird Moth Girl. And suddenly now my name is Moth Ghost. And everyone's just like, what the fuck?
Well, the thing was, like, I've gone through a lot of different usernames. When I did Twitch for like 6 months, so I wanted to like Twitch as much as possible, right? And I went through I must have went through like 10 names there, and they're all in Latin because I'm a Latin fag. And so I think at one point I was like, my older brother says that he found somebody who has my name that's eerily close to my name in Skyrim, and he's in the Thieves Guild, and it's my name without the L. It's Nilruin or whatever like that.
Nilruin?
It's one of the thieves in the Thieves Guild in Skyrim. And he's like, did you get your name from there? And I'm like, I have no idea. So it's just a name I use now. I don't want anybody to call me by my name, by the way. Like, if you see me in real life, don't call me Nilruin. That's weird.
It would be weird if someone found you in real life. They're like, oh shit, dude, you're the guy who's got like 20 views on YouTube.
Well, I think I just hit 5,000 total.
Sign my dick.
I just don't want people to come up and go, hey, it's Nilruin, and I go, get away from me.
If someone wanted you to sign their dick, like if someone, by some stupid reason, is a fan of you...
What do you mean by some stupid reason? I make quality content.
I mean, you've got like 10 viewers right now.
I don't know. My podcasts don't get a whole lot of traffic, unfortunately.
I'm just saying, like, if you had someone who, for some reason, was like a ridiculous fan of yours, and they met you in real life, would you sign their dick for them?
How would you be upset if you went to a concert and it was all like 40-year-old men, and at the end of the concert they were all like, hey, can you please sign my penis? And it was just a crowd of people who were like, sign my penis, sign my penis. Would you just, like, stop making music?
I wouldn't stop making music.
You're just like, I'm attracting the wrong crowd, I'm done.
I wouldn't stop making music, but I'd probably get bodyguards. I don't see myself as ever being that big in music, though.
How great would it be if I blew up and by extension you blew up? Because I like your music. You make decent music.
I like making music, but I don't think my music is at a level where I deserve to have a lot of fans yet.
I like your covers. I'm not a fan of your original stuff, but I love your covers. Like,
I'm not...
I still listen to, like, your I listened to your kids cover the other day. And your Crooked Teeth
like
one.
that one.
I love your covers, dude. They're great.
I like those two because I actually tried to do something different with the songs.
Well, that's the point of a cover.
Exactly, because, like, a lot of people do a song, even I do a song, and just sing it like they do. But, you know, it's just them singing. But I think it's really neat when you can take a song and you make it different. Like,
you cut out the entire solo from Kids, if I remember correctly. Like, you just cut out that entire, like, 45-second to a minute-and-a-half solo with a keyboard in Kids, and you just ended it after the second verse.
Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna...
You weren't gonna do the...
Exactly. I don't have the finger dexterity for that shit yet.
You should. You should totally do that. I will play the harpsichord if you play the acoustic guitar.
I wish I had an acoustic. So a lot of people don't know this, but the main problem with electric compared to acoustic is that you really can't strum that hard on electric. With an acoustic guitar, you can fucking wail on it, and it sounds great. But you can't really wail on an electric guitar. Like, you can't fucking attack the strings with your pick as hard. It gives a completely different sound, and the sound isn't great.
To you.
But I love acoustic guitars. I just can't afford one at the moment.
Well, we're talking about names. I don't like my name. I like Nilruin. I think it's what I'm going to stick with probably forever. But I went to make a PSN, and apparently it's taken. And so my PSN name is my name with a G at the front, because the G just makes it silent.
Nilruin.
No, it's Nilruin. The G is silent, you idiot. I just said the G was silent. You didn't even listen to me.
Oh, like Gnite.
Claire, it feels like I'm the only one putting any effort into this relationship anymore. You never listen to me.
You never look at me during.
I said that to a coworker, and he told me to get away from him.
No, but I don't know. A main reason I kept changing my name was because it was linked directly to my Reddit name, and I didn't want to associate myself with Reddit anymore. Just because, like, there's a lot of history behind those names, you know? A lot of people got to know me as Starstruck, and a lot of people got to know me as Weird Moth Girl. And so, you know, it's not that I didn't want them to find me, it's just that I felt like that chapter of my life was over, and that
That's how I was with my old YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed about my times as a Dark Souls player. I don't want to be known as the person who did bad Dark Souls compilations
exactly
in 2012. Like, that's just not my thing anymore. That's why I changed my name. I would have totally kept my name, but it was stupid. It also had Dark Souls in the name.
I'm not ashamed that I liked My Little Pony. I'm a little bit ashamed with how much I liked it. But I'm not ashamed that I liked it in general. Like, I don't know, it's a show. It doesn't matter. That's like the main thing that I always thought. I mean, it's like liking a video game. That's one of the least important fucking things.
Speaking of video games, hey Claire, what's your favorite video game?
Obviously Sonic Adventure.
Nice segue.
Nice segue.
I don't know.
Last
that
time
was
I
the
saw
main
segue.
topic. We're 57 minutes in and we haven't even touched video games yet. I'm disappointed in you, Claire.
That's how shit like this works.
I'm disappointed in you. It is the Non Sequitur podcast. I wasn't expecting coherency here.
Alright, well, let's talk about some games we've played lately.
What is your favorite game, and do you have a favorite game, and what is your opinion on why favorites are stupid? Because they are.
I have a couple favorite games.
See, that's the thing. You don't have one favorite game, because having one
do.
favorite game is stupid.
I have a couple that are, like, in the top 5, but I have one that definitely shines above the rest.
Alright.
And that is, Pikmin.
Really?
I fucking love the original Pikmin.
Okay, that's fair.
It's great. I mean, like, when I was... I don't know. See, the problem with favorites is that there's a lot of stuff that barely ties for first, and I just pick Pikmin because I really like it, and I can think back to enjoying it a lot.
Well, what do you define as your favorite? Do you define it as the game you spent the most time on? The game you've most enjoyed? How do you quantify enjoyment?
For me, I consider my favorite game as the game that if you asked me if I wanted to play right now, I would always say yes.
Okay.
Like,
oh man, that's
Super
a hard
Mario
one then.
Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion. Like, those games are amazing, and I loved them. And that's why it's hard to pick a favorite, but, I don't know, if I had to pick, like, a top 5, it would probably be, like, Pikmin, Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Katamari Damacy, and for a 5th one, probably some kind of computer game. Probably, like, Enter the Gungeon or Lisa.
I thought you were gonna pull another Nintendo game out of your ass. I'm like, man, you're on fire today.
I like Nintendo.
They're a
make
good
fun
company.
games.
They're bad with their customers, but they make really good games.
I mean, I don't think anybody has ever really gotten hyped for a Nintendo console. I think people get hyped for
People
consoles
love
are...
the Switch. The Switch is like one of the best sellers, I think.
Yeah,
if I look at
but
the numbers
it wouldn't
right.
have been if Zelda wasn't coming out.
No, there are plenty of amazing games on the Switch. That
Well, there are
I mean,
now.
Breath of the Wild was the release game. I get that.
I'm saying that, like, if Zelda wasn't announced, like, first, people wouldn't have bought the Switch as much.
I would have bought the Switch. It's an amazing console. Connor bought the Switch. It's
Really?
really good.
Well,
It
I don't
honestly
know.
is like a tablet and a console combined together. It's amazing.
Yeah, but there are a lot of release problems.
Store works better than PSN did.
Well, yeah, but there's still a lot of problems. The fucking dock scratches the screen up. A lot of them shipped with dead pixels.
The only technical issue Connor's ever told me about is the basically you can snap the controller right and left, the blue and red parts of the controller, the left and right, off of the tablet to use as a controller, and also use them like handhelds.
Yeah.
It's how you use them as different control. You can yeah, it's a super
I know how
complicated
Switch
system.
works.
But the thing is that if you put them in backwards, they will destroy the plastic dock on the controller.
I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, that's an engineering
never-
problem you're gonna have no matter how you did it.
I've never been the type to get hyped for consoles. I've always just gotten hyped for games that are coming out for consoles.
Yeah, I mean,
So, like, when I heard Nintendo's making a new console, I was like, that's sweet. I hope they finally do GameCube on the, like, eShop.
well, they did do GameCube on the Wii. They imported a lot of different games.
Well, yeah, but that's just because the Wii could play GameCube games. And then they made a lot of Wii releases of games. But
Yeah, I guess
more
that's a
mean,
thing.
like the way they do it with N64, where you can just buy it on the eShop. I've always thought it would be smart that with GameCube. When I first heard about the Switch, I thought it might be cool, but I wasn't really excited until I heard about Mario Odyssey. Like,
I don't get it.
I'm really looking forward to Mario Odyssey.
Okay, it's much better now. All right, cool. So we're gonna start now. You ready?
Mario
All right, cool. So I have to cut it now.
Mario Odyssey fucking it looks like it could be the next Super Mario Sunshine. And that idea really excites me. Because Mario Sunshine is my favorite Mario game.
Well, okay, so we're talking about favorite games, right?
I
I don't know what I would put as my favorite game is the issue, because I play video games for a lot of different reasons.
I think with something as widely varying as video games, it's easier if you say, like, favorite game in a genre, or favorite game in a series. Like, I think you need to boil it down a little bit thinner before you can just...
Well, I mean, because I love Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
I love Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. I love... I don't know, there's a lot of games that are just like Life is Strange, or Gone Home. Or, like, games that are really short but don't have a lot of replay value. And so you just play it for the story, or just to like witness the gameplay elements, and that's it.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus was revolutionary. I would love to have more Shadow of the Colossus games. Monster Hunter just doesn't do it for me, though.
Yeah, I couldn't get into Monster Hunter.
Dragon's Dogma did it pretty well. Oh man, Dragon's Dogma is amazing. It's just like, I play games for different reasons. I play Guild Wars 2 and I play Final Fantasy 14 for the grind. I love working towards something.
Okay, I thought of something cool. We're going...
Okay, go ahead. Interrupt me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to finish?
No, I'm fine, Claire. Go.
Don't be a bitch. If you want to finish, then finish.
You auto-tuned when you said that, so that was hilarious, but
Don't
still.
Don't be a bitch!
I wish that the viewers could hear what I'm hearing.
Oh no, I actually just did that with my voice.
No, I understood that, but like the first time it was spot on. It was, don't be a bitch. It was like just a dip in your voice. It was fantastic.
No, but what we could do is I've played a lot of games you haven't played, and you've played a lot of weird games that I haven't played. So I figured what we could do is we could each do a quick mini review where we explain like what was good about the game and what was the worst thing about the game. And like,
you don't have an Xbox?
Yeah. Not anymore.
You don't have half the equipment I do.
Exactly. So there's a lot of games that you've played that I haven't. So
you want me to send you my Xbox? What are you talking about here?
We're each going to do a quick short review of a game, and we're gonna say like,
well, you have to play the game to do a review on it.
No, I'm saying you're gonna do a quick review of a game that you've played that I haven't, and I'm gonna do one of the game that you haven't, and we're gonna like.
Okay, I thought you were doing the other way around. No. I thought you wanted to like give me a game that I haven't played yet and try to do a review on it.
We're gonna try to sell the game to the other person, but we're also going to bring up the biggest shortcoming. Like if there's a thing that spoiled the game for you, then you gotta mention it.
Okay, I guess that's
You want
fair.
me to go first so that like you get an idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna do Dragon's Dogma just as a heads up.
I've played that. I played it with you.
We did not go all the way through the game.
Alright, well I guess the game that I'll pick is Lisa, since you don't know a lot about that game. So
okay, we're gonna quickly reset this whole thing. Is that okay?
Okay, let me pause that. Alright.
So you should be recording.
Let's just forget all that shit that I said before the cut, and let's just do what you were saying.
I don't even remember. It's been 20 minutes. We had to switch chat services.
Okay, well then I guess we could continue with what I said. So, I mean, it's up to you. Which one do you want to do?
What do you want me to do?
Fuck it, we'll do what I was saying. We'll do the game reviews thing.
Oh yeah, we should totally do that.
So, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about Lisa. I found this game out of nowhere, and I was surprised that it didn't get more popular because it's a really good game. But after playing it a while, I understand why it didn't get popular. This game is fucking dark. Like really, really fucking dark. And I understand entirely why the internet didn't fawn over it like they did Undertale, because happy endings do not exist in this game, and I believe the maker of it, Dingling, is actually some kind of sadist. Despite that, the game is fun. It's really fun. It has a very Earthbound-esque sense of humor, albeit very, very much darker. But the gameplay is fun, even though it's brutally difficult. And there are a lot of weird little things that terrified me when I first started the game, but I later realized weren't as big of a problem as people made them seem. There are several enemies in the game that can do moves that inflict a status effect called Death on your party member. If that happens, that party member's dead. They disappear from your party, they're gone from the game forever. You can't get them back. And the idea of that was terrifying to me, but as it turns out, they don't actually do those moves insanely frequently. So it isn't the scariest thing in the world. It adds a lot of tension to boss fights, but it isn't like an enormous issue. The one thing that I thought ruined the game for me, not entirely, I still love the game, but a part that I felt went too far, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's not exactly important to the plot, so it doesn't really matter. At a random point in the game, you come out of like a cave or something, and you get fucking smacked in the face with a bat, and you get knocked out. And when you wake up, you're inside a warehouse with a bunch of sweaty old dudes, and they're like, you're gonna play Russian roulette with us. And the sequence that follows is one of the most frustrating and annoying things I've ever dealt with in video games. Basically, you have to select a random party member, and they're gonna play Russian roulette with another guy. So, there's something like, I don't know, 1 out of 6 chance that they die, and if they die, they're dead for good. It just goes back and forth. You press A, the character tries to shoot themselves, and either they do and that party member's dead and you need to switch off to a different one, or they don't and, you just keep going until the other guy dies. The problem is that you need to win 3 times in a row. Meaning that I had to save scum this part of the game for a solid 30 minutes so that I didn't kill basically my entire party of characters. Now, a lot of the game is difficult, and it is just fucking rife with, horrible shit that you have to fight against. Adversity is everywhere. But this felt unfair. There's a lot of bad shit and a lot of hard shit earlier in the game, but that was the only point where I stopped and I said, this is bullshit, I don't like this. And I'm sure you could agree, hearing what the sequence is like, that having a sequence like this is just bullshit, right? Like, I'm not...
Yes.
Exactly. It's so fucking stupid. Aside from that, though, the game is really cool. I was a big fan. The humor is on point. I love the really dark shit, even though it gets, really upsettingly dark at times. I don't know if I would recommend it to people or not. If I knew that they were the kind of person that could handle it and would appreciate the lighter parts of the game and the story behind it, then I would definitely recommend it to them. But I definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone who has issues with, themes of rape or abuse. Because, there's a lot of them. A lot. And I don't know, I guess that's my review of Lisa. I would all in all give it, probably a 9 out of 10. As far as, rating goes. So, yeah. Now you fucking do a game.
I don't know. I feel like I should do I feel like I should do Dragon's Dogma, but
I mean, do whatever game you like. You've never played Lisa before, and that's why I did that one, because I thought that,
you barely touched Dragon's Dogma with me, dude.
That's true. We just made Kwanzaa, and then I stopped playing.
Kwanzaa.
I
Oh
wish we
god,
had
I
recorded
remember
that.
her now.
I wish we had recorded that. So basically, in Dragon's Dogma, you can create like
It's
your
Dragon's
own.
Dogma.
That's what I said.
Do you know what a dogma is?
Yeah. No.
Okay, it's
Not
Dragon's
really.
Dogma. You've never
Are-
seen Dogma with Silent J and Bob?
I have. I was gonna say I assume it's like a religious thing.
The definition is a set of ideals that are accepted without controversy.
Well, like something that's dogmatic.
Yeah, that would be the adjectival form of dogma.
Okay, yeah, but fucking, you can like make these party members that follow you around and fight for you. And we decided that we were gonna make one, and Grayson decided to let me make one. So I made.
I think I left and came back, and it was a monstrosity.
I made a very large, green-skinned woman with an extremely deep voice and a face that looked like she does her makeup with a shovel. And we named her Kwanzaa. And we gave her the max stats in the game. So she would run around just being like, "I got it," and then go and like fight monsters. It was, yeah, it was interesting.
So, for those of you who haven't played Dragon's Dogma, it's Monster Hunter meets Dark Souls, basically. You play as the Arisen, who has his heart basically stabbed and yanked out of his body by a giant dragon.
I remember that part.
And basically the entire game is you hunting down the dragon and killing it. And you're allowed to have a party with you. You can make your own pawn. They're called pawns, the other party members. They're not real people. They're not like henchmen or whatever. They're basically pawns, which are like almost vegetative people. They're not real humans. So you make your own, and that's called your main pawn, and that you can't get rid of them unless you kill them, and you just leave them off a cliff, and you never go back to a rift stone and revive them. But you can have 4 people in your party, and the other 2 ones are other pawns that other players have made. So you can have your main pawn, and then you have 2 side pawns. And basically, you are an Arisen, so you have control over these pawns. And that comes into play later on. So the game has Monster Hunter L combat mechanics. So you can crawl over monsters and stab weak spots, or you can shoot specific weak spots in the monster. It's not like a turn-based game where it doesn't matter what you hit. You have to like aim your attacks. Like a Cyclops, if you stab it in the eye, it'll get killed so much quicker than you stabbing its ankles, you know? The game is really good. The storyline is amazing. The music is pretty good. It's tolerable. You weren't going to expect like Square Enix, you know? The game music is good enough that it's not like jarring, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be walking through a town and you're going to hear heavy metal. The graphics, in my opinion, are really good. The dude who made the game has admitted that he took a lot of inspiration from Berserk. I can't believe you haven't read Berserk yet.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of time to get into series right now.
You didn't even try it, have you?
Nope.
You haven't even like read the first chapter?
I thought about watching the anime, but
Don't
I've heard
watch
that
the
I
anime.
shouldn't. Exactly.
Well, the new anime is bad. The old anime is okay. But don't watch the anime. You should read the first couple chapters and see if you like it. If you're not sold within half an hour and you're reading and you're not sold and you're still not getting it, you should stop.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of steps you obviously the storyline is very reminiscent of Berserk.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's a part in the game where you basically are caught begging a princess, and you're thrown in the dungeons or whatever. And that's something that happens in Berserk. Spoiler alert. But yeah, and there's also a couple of armor sets in the game that are they look like Guts and Griffith's armor. It's very obviously Berserk done. So I mean, it's pretty well done. I love the voice acting in the game. It's fantastic. The dragon is played by David Lodge.
Oh yeah.
Who plays Kenpachi Zaraki in the Bleach series. He was the first one.
What would you say was the worst thing about it?
I gave it about an 8 out of 10, and there's a reason why it's not a 9 out of 10, and it's because the only gripe I have with the game is, well, there's a couple of things. The first off is the control scheme is terrible. It's one of those games that you play it and you're like, what are these controls? And once you start playing the game, you get used to them, right? And then you play other games, and you get screwed up because the other games are done well, and they're not weird control schemes. So I mean, there's that. The other thing is that there's a lot of weird stuff. Like you can't kill dragons unless the Arisen, the character you're controlling, goes and stabs it in the heart at least once. It has to do something to the heart. It has to do its own damage. So even if you keep your pawns alive and you're reviving them and you're keeping them alive and you're running around doing damage, you have to hit the heart at least once. Like the dragon won't lose that last 1 HP. Which is it's a weird mechanic. You get used to it after a while. I mean, it is really fun to just walk around and kill monsters and do quests and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
The game is also balls to the walls difficult. You will hit points in the game and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And then you go and fight it again and you win somehow. Like, the game is very improvised. Doing the smallest one thing will completely switch. Oh, I have a package.
I don't know what it is. What'd you get?
This is either my PS4 controller grips, or it's my new cord for my mic. I can start recording stuff again.
What's drugs?
Oh, it's drugs. Yeah, it's totally
I know what
cocaine.
it is.
It's black tar heroin. I ordered them both at the same time. I don't know why I didn't get both.
But I want to hear what you're recording.
I'm in the middle still. We're recording a podcast.
Right now? Who's we?
Claire and I.
Hey, is Claire here?
Claire can hear you, yes.
Did she hear? Tell her we say hi!
The girls say.
Did she hear what I said earlier? What did she
Yes,
say?
she heard what you said earlier.
What is it?
It's a controller. She was laughing her ass off.
Really? What did I say? What's harassment?
What you're doing to me now? Get out.
Wait, can she hear us? Can she talk?
Yes, she can hear you.
Blah, 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 blah. Can this be in bloopers?
I'm gonna have to add this as an outtake at the end of this
Okay,
stupid
you
episode.
should make a video on bloopers.
What are you talking about?
Like make a whole bloopers video.
Oh, it feels so good.
Oh.
Podcast blooper reel.
Ooh,
Podcast
great.
blooper reel. Hitler was right.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's just where you put all the horrible things we say.
I'm not saying Stalin was a good person, but Stalin was a good person.
Your sister said hi
Dun, dun,
really
dun, dun,
weirdly
dun.
there. I don't know if it was just your microphone, but she was like, "Can Claire hear?" Hi!
No, that was her.
Oh my god, that was fucking... It spooked me.
Upsetting. I have been told that before.
Man,
I
sometimes
got a controller grip. Dude, this is actually
Sometimes
pretty
I,
cool. I actually like this a lot, dude.
Sometimes I
I'm gonna be
forget
a
how
hardcore
long I
gamer
lived
now.
here.
What?
I said sometimes I forget how long I lived at your house for.
What do you mean?
I don't know, I was there for a while.
I don't know, 6 months?
Yeah. That's a while in my book.
Dude, this actually feels really good. I actually want to show this to the girls.
Sweet.
Like, I basically bought a sheath for my controller.
Okay, you should finish your Dragon's Dogma rant.
What was I saying?
I don't even remember.
The graphics are really good, but it's heavily inspired by Berserk. The controls are wonky as shit. You also come across weird mechanics. You'll come across bullshit points in the game. Like there's DLC. The DLC is amazing. They come across basically the DLC, and the final boss of the DLC is in this big open throne room. But the zone before the throne room is basically this giant ruined city that you have to run through while you're being attacked by a dragon.
Jesus.
And the problem is, you go, oh, I could fight a dragon. I've fought dragons before. You climb onto the dragon, and he'll just fly into the air and drop you. And I'm not joking, I spent 45 minutes killing this stupid dragon. And you basically used all my supplies and stuff. And I was like, alright, well, let's do this door. And it's the final boss. I'm like, oh, shit. The game is frustrating like that. The Audacity is starting to lose itself. I'm not sure if it's... Why would it... Huh, I don't know. I'm getting frame rate tears. I like Dragon's Dogma specifically because it's one of those games, I think I've said before, it's very improvised. You'll go into a boss fight and it'll be terrible and you'll lose and you'll get your ass kicked, and then you'll play another boss fight and you do the same boss fight again and you'll just win. And And it's because anything you do, any minute detail, you can absolutely, it'll change the entire course of the boss fight. So it felt really like I was in control, you know? Like if I messed up, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. The class variety is amazing. The class system is very interesting. So it has this whole standard RPG warrior, mage, rogue type thing. And then basically there are specializations, and no class is better than another. Like it's color coded. So I know that the warriors, the sword and shield guys are red, and the archer guys are yellow. The rogue archer guys are yellow, and the mage guys are blue. So it's color coded, and I know the entire chart in my head. But those are just called basic classes: the warrior, the rogue, and the mage. And then you can like specialize after a while. After you like level up the class enough times, you can specialize and you can change your class if you want. And then you can basically, the rogue becomes a ranger, which just specializes in like long range, heavy hitting archery. They use like a giant bow that you would never see somebody use in real life. It's like this is like giant, like 6 foot tall bow that like nobody would ever be able to draw, because it's just like the amount of draw weight you would need is ridiculous. The warrior turns into, or the knight turns into a warrior, who is like a greatsword dude who does a lot of melee damage, but like doesn't have a shield anymore. He loses his shield. Yeah. And the mage turns into a sorcerer. The thing with the mages is that like they can heal, but they don't have access to like the biggest, best earthquakes and tornadoes and firestorms and meteors, you know? But the sorcerers do. But the interesting take that they have on this is that there's a third set of classes called hybrid classes, and they basically combine other ones before. So you'll get a warrior mage, and they're called a spell sword, I think, or mystic knight. And they're a knight with a big heavy shield, but they can also cast spells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my favorite class in the game is the mystic archer, who is the mage archer. And they're basically like Quincy's from Bleach. They can like conjure bows out of like magic, and they can shoot like special arrows and stuff like that. I mean, the class variety is absolutely amazing in this game. And it's one of those games that really knows how to set an atmosphere, you know? There is a part, and I'm absolutely spoiling things at this point. If you don't want spoilers, just like skip the next 30 seconds of me talking. But there's a part in the game where like the main city that you've been to the entire time, half of the city just plummets. Like it has a giant earthquake, and you figure out that like there's a secret like cave underneath the city. And that half of the city just falls into oblivion. And you're just left this gaping hole and stuff like that. And after that happens, after you beat the game and that's the thing that happens, you unlock the Everfall, the sky turns dark and smoky, like it's constantly, like it's about to rain. Like the game really knows how to set an atmosphere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It absolutely is amazing. I love the game so much. There's a lot of, you'll be running, and you don't expect it to be a funny game, but you'll be running along, and the pawns are just stupid. You have to teach them. Yeah. Like, the AI is really weird. You have to teach the pawns what to do. Like, if you just play the game, Kwanzaa will just jump off cliffs. She literally, I'm not joking, you watched me, she would just jump off cliffs and shit. For no reason. There was a point in the game where she picked me up and threw me off a cliff. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She was just like, Master, let me help you, and like picks me up and just chucks me off a cliff. It's a real thing that happened. The funniest thing that I think I've ever seen in this game, well, there's two things. One is Kwanzaa yelling, help me, is one of the funniest things I've ever heard ever.
Oh, that's great.
Help me! It's legitimately like unnerving to listen to, but hilarious to watch her like screaming for her life while she's clinging onto a cliff. But the other thing is that this is also a big spoiler, so you're gonna want to skip the next 30 seconds. I don't think you're ever gonna play this game, are you? We'll probably end up playing it together eventually, but at the end of the game you have to make a choice, and the game is one of those games that like you can totally like the dragon will go, you can walk away right now, and I will not hunt you down, and I will die alone, and you'll get your heart back in like 60 years, and I'll die, and you'll die a peaceful life. And you can just walk away. Like, the game lets you do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are offshoots of the game's ending that you would not expect to be able to happen, where a boss is like, you can walk away right now, and you can just do that. And but the thing is, at the end of the game, basically the dragon kidnaps whatever character you have the highest affection level with. And so, in like most cases, it's the princess that you get caught sleeping with, or it's a shop. You can like interact with anybody. Like you can interact with like any quest target.
Yeah.
And like most people in the game are considered NPCs, and you can like give them flowers and earn their affection and stuff like that. And there are a lot of weird characters too. There's like the shady black market dude. There's a fish market guy. There's the weird mage who's like this old dude. There's the court jester. There's the knights and stuff, and the king's court and stuff like that. So the king, I want to tell you a little bit about the jester because he's important. His name is Feste, which is it's a reference to the Twelfth Night, the Shakespeare play. And he's this like mini-me looking goatee wearing, what's his name from Tingle from Zelda. He looks like Tingle, but like an orange and red outfit, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Connor thought it would be hilarious to go behind my back and play the game and raise Feste's affection level to the max. So I go to fight the dragon, and the dragon goes, "I've kidnapped your loved one." And I'm just like, oh no, the princess? And Feste comes running out of the shadows. And the dragon goes, "You can walk away right now." And I go, "Alright, fine," and I walk away. I'm just like, I'm not saving the court jester, are you kidding? God damn it, Connor. I'm so mad. Was it you or was it Connor? I feel like it was Connor.
It was Connor.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I didn't get far into Dragon's Dogma at all.
But the thing is that like once you leave, the game plays a different ending, and then it just goes game over, and you can load back and just do the other ending like you're supposed to and fight the dragon. And so I'm like, all right, fine, I'll fight this stupid dragon. And you fight the dragon and stuff, and you finally kill him, and you get your heart back. And like the cinematic after that, you have implied intercourse with whoever your affection target is. And so the cutscene right after I fight the dragon is Feste like on top of me.
No.
Like doing the finger thing to my chest. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just like sitting there in the living room going, "No, please. Please don't do this, Feste."
Oh my god, I just remembered something.
What?
This is a story that's perfect for the podcast.
Oh my god. I'm not sure how much of that past 10 minutes are going to be coherent, but it's fantastic.
Two things to say. I was hanging out with a friend, and we were partaking in the devil's lettuce, as we do sometimes.
You were eating a veggie wrap?
A veggie wrap is not the devil's lettuce.
I'm not sure, Claire. You'll have to inform me of what you're talking about.
Okay, but be careful, because, listen, there's some dirty crime boys out there who, when you start talking about the shticky icky, as they say, you know, the Mary Jane, you know, a little bit of that wacky tobacco. And
the redhead from Spider-Man?
They start coming out of the woodwork, and they're all like, "Yo, dude, you listen to Bob Marley? You know what I'm talking about? Talking about a little bit of that Kush, you know what I mean? I'm talking about a little bit of that
Ashton
cannabis.
Kutcher, what are you talking about, Claire?
A little bit of that bud, a little bit of that hash, you know what I'm talking about? I'm seeing a little bit of those,
Are you a gardener now? I didn't know this was a hidden passion of yours, Claire.
A little bit of that puff pass. Okay, let's stop this before it goes on any longer. So we were hanging out, and I told a joke that made her laugh so hard that she peed herself.
Yeah, that happens.
We were talking, and I was kind of out of it, and I looked at her, and in my high voice, I said, "Dude, if I, like, grew weed, like, I grew my own weed, I owned a dispensary, then that would mean that I could name the different strains of weed. And, you know, a lot of people name their strain stuff like Bubbleberry or Grape Ape or Pineapple Express. But I would name mine shit like, yo, you fucking remember the episode of Dexter's Laboratory where he gets bit by a clown? The fuck is up with that?"
Is that the like? It's like
That's the name on
it's
like
a sentence.
yeah. The name is just like fucking a paragraph long.
Could you imagine a customer coming in and going, "Hey, Kate? Hey, am I able to get some of that? Hey, do you remember that episode of Dexter's Laboratory where he's like,
Like she
a
laughed
little bit
so
weird.
hard that she fucking peed, and it was really funny at the time. But the much better story that didn't involve drugs was I was at work the other day, and I didn't tell you about this because I was specifically saving it for the podcast.
okay,
I go into work, and I wake up, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, actually. I'm thinking I can take on the whole world today. I walk out the door, I almost get to the bus stop, and I realize I left my apron at home. So I sprint back to the house, I grab my apron, I sprint back to the bus stop. I don't have time to stop for coffee like I wanted to. And I get on the bus and I go to work. The moment I step into the door at work, all of that hope and optimism dies. I feel awful. But I gotta work, you know, it's my job, I gotta do it. And so I set everything up, and I feel like fucking garbage. I feel so bad. And on the radio, for once, it isn't playing shitty pop music, but I'm listening, and I'm like, wait a second, do I recognize this song? I recognize the beat to it. And I realize that Accidentally in Love by Smash Mouth is playing. And I'm like, oh, fuck this. But I keep going despite the horrible music playing, and I clean off some tables, and I'm thinking, at least we're not that busy. And as I'm thinking that, I look towards the door, and a flood of biblical proportions of people are coming into the restaurant. I'm saying like 30 people are coming in and lining up, and they're flowing through the door like a wave crashing against the side of Noah's Ark in the Bible. And I'm sitting here, and as I'm watching this fucking tsunami of people come into our building, I listen to the radio, and I recognize a beat, and I hear the lyrics, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming.
is that the end of that story?
Fucking, I had to listen to fucking All-Star by Smash Mouth at work.
Dude, that's nothing. You got nothing on me.
It was playing on the radio, and later Fireflies by Owl City started
I
playing.
love Fireflies by Owl
No,
City.
I'm so sick of it. It's funny, earlier in the day, this is the stupidest part. I used to own the album it's off, it's called Ocean Eyes. But I lost the disc, so I stole a zip file of all the songs online, because I've already paid for the album. I shouldn't have to pay for it again. So I get a zip file, and I specifically don't put Fireflies on my fucking iPod that day, because I don't want to listen to Fireflies. And I listened to everything except for Fireflies, because I didn't want to listen to it. And I get to work, and they're playing fucking Fireflies.
Alright, so let me tell you. You work as like a cook's assistant, don't you? You're like a...
I'm basically just a waitress at this point.
Okay. I work in a wash bay. I don't think we ever talked about our jobs before. I work in a wash bay of a car dealership. I wash cars for a living. As a side story for music, the other techs who who work on the cars, they service the cars before they bring them over to us.
Yeah.
They basically, a few of them don't use headphones, and they basically like blare their music out loud.
Oh yeah, our dishwashers do that.
Yeah. It's not normally a problem. It's a problem when all they listen to is Linkin Park and Evanescence.
Jesus.
I'm not joking. The problem, like, if it was different Evanescence music or different Linkin Park music, I'd be okay with it. But I swear to God, I heard What I've Done from Linkin Park 6 times that day.
Oh, but
Like, he wasn't cycling the songs. He was just playing them over and over again.
I don't like other songs.
Another thing that I should probably talk about music is that, actually, I have a lot of stories about music. One time, my, the iPod that I use, I don't know what it's called. Is it just called an iPod?
Probably.
It's not a Nano. It's not the small one. It's like I don't know. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's the one that they had the weird silhouetted commercials for. But I have an iPod, and sometimes if I don't eject the iPod in iTunes before I'm done, like I'll sync it and I'll just take out the cord. If I do that and don't eject it, the iPod will become corrupted, and only a few of my songs out of like the 2,000 I have will become available. And normally I catch it, like I take it out and I look. Now I make sure that I look at it because this happened. Yeah. I was in a hurry. I don't know why. I was late or something, and I quickly synced my iPod, and I ran out the door, and I get to work, and I'm about an hour into work, and I plug my headphones in so I can dole out the white noise of the car shop or whatever, and New Shoes, I Can't Wait comes on.
Oh.
You know what song I'm talking about, right?
Of course.
That comes on, and I'm like, you know what? I'm on shuffle, whatever. I don't listen. I don't know why it's on my playlist. I make fun of it all the time. Yeah. It's one of those songs. It's like ass and titties. You know that old rap song that comes on.
Yeah, I know that song.
I have that ironically, like in my iPod, so I can get a laugh out of it sometimes. And then the next song that comes on is "Goodbye Horses."
Oh God.
From Q Lazarus. And then I'm like, all right, I skip that, and then New Shoes comes on again. And then I'm like, what the hell? And I go back, and the only two songs on my iPod are New Shoes, I Can't Wait, and Goodbye Horses from Q Lazarus. I have to work an 11-hour shift.
Oh my God, 11 hours of Goodbye Horses.
After 4 hours of cycling between those two songs, I was just fried. My brain was like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. You can't make me. And like my hands are shaking, and I pause the iPod and I turn it off, and I pull my headphones out, and Wake Me Up is playing in the background because the fucking tech isn't using headphones again. And now I have to make a life decision, Claire. Do I want to go back to listening to Q Lazarus and New Shoes, or do I want to listen to Wake Me Up from Evanescence?
Fucking Christ.
What life decision am I supposed to make, Claire? What life decision am I supposed to make, Claire?
So I had a good idea. Last time we tried to do an improv thing at the end of the podcast and it failed.
We still got 20 minutes left, dude. We're not doing that yet.
No, but let me finish. I got an idea for the end of this one. Instead of doing like the one word at a time, we're gonna come up with a theme every episode, and we're gonna do that thing where each of us say like a sentence or two, and then the other person needs to continue the story.
Okay.
Okay. And the theme this time will be horror. So when we're done,
are you talking about a prostitute or horror?
Horror, the genre.
Okay.
The genre.
Another thing that I don't think I talk about is that the fact that like you find weird stuff in the back of people's cars.
Oh, I thought you were just about to say you find weird stuff and stop there, and I was gonna be
well,
like,
no,
yeah,
like you work in like a kitchen, and you're not gonna like see a whole lot of like other than like the Halloween decorations.
I've seen weird
or like
people.
The fact that people eat like half a steak and just leave the other half and just let it go.
We don't do
like,
steak. We do sushi.
Gross.
Yes.
Like you don't deal with people in like their natural environment. You deal with people at their best behavior in a restaurant.
No.
Most of the time.
Absolutely
most of the time.
Not. Absolutely not.
I clean people's cars. You would be surprised what you would find in the back of people's cars. I found a book on how to cure diseases with the power of Jesus.
Ugh.
That was a real book I found.
Gross.
I found a bag of brass knuckles. Not one pair of brass knuckles. Like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag full of brass knuckles.
Did you steal a pair?
No, I did not steal a pair of brass knuckles. What person has more than one pair of brass knuckles?
You know brass knuckles are illegal.
Yes, they are. Highly illegal. I haven't found a gun yet, but I think the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and this takes the cake no matter what. I think I've told you this story before, but I'm going to tell it. I know
what you're going to say.
You know exactly. I've told you this before. It was an immaculate car. The car was completely clean. But I have to check the car. I have to make sure everything's vacuumed and stuff like that. And I'm like, the front seat's clean. The car is, it's a white, like, Infiniti QX80. It's like this, it's completely clean. It's immaculate. The car is spotless.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me check the back seat. And I go to the back seat, and the only thing in the car, other than the keys, it's a stack of DVDs in the middle of the back seat. And I'm looking at the DVDs, and I'm like, oh, there must be like a family that lives in this, and there must be like a stack of DVDs. It's a stack of DVDs, and they're all Turner and Hooch. that Tom Hanks movie where he has the, like, what's it? Is it like a pit bull? What's his dog in that? What is it?
I don't fucking know.
I don't remember. I don't know what that dog is supposed to be. It's like a stack of those DVDs, and I'm like, oh my god, why does this person have more than one copy of Turner and Hooch? And then I count them, and I'm like, how many are in this stack? 11. There are 11 DVDs in this stack. So I go, okay, now I'm curious. Do all of them have a copy of Turner and Hooch in them? So I open up the first one, and it's empty. And I open up the second one, and it's empty. And I open up all of them, and they're all empty, except for the last one. And the last DVD case has a copy of Shark Boy and Lava Girl in it. I don't know anymore.
I think the person who owned that car was fucking with you.
They have to be, right? At that point, like... What situation could you possibly come up with where you would, for some reason, have 11 empty DVD cases of Turner and Hooch?
Like,
and one DVD of Shark Boy and Lava Girl? I don't understand either, dude.
Fucking A.
You hit a point in your life where you're just like, whatever. Right? My life is already so weird. This might as well be a thing, right?
I went into work, and my boss was talking to everyone. They were like, do you guys have your liquor licenses yet? And I was like, no. And he was like, then don't serve anyone beer. And one girl was like, why not? And he was like, if they catch you doing that, you'll have to pay like $600 out of pocket. And so we were like, okay, we're not fucking serving alcohol today then. And a couple ladies came in, and they were like, hey, can we get a Sapporo? That's the name of the beer we have.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I walked back, and I realized, like, nobody can serve this to these women. So I went back to them after a minute. I was like, actually, it seems like we're out of it. And these women, I swear to God, the moment I said we didn't have any beer, they got a look of terror on their faces. They looked so fucking frightened, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna go then. We're gonna go. And they bolted. They got out of that store like a fucking bat out of hell. Like, I tell them they can't get wasted here, and they just fucking... It's like their whole life was falling apart. Like, I just told them that their child is playing with matches in the woods. That was the weirdest fucking thing.
People are weird, man.
I've had some really weird customers so far.
I've had some weird customers, too. I had a guy come by, and we were washing his car, and he was a waiter, which means that he, like, brought his car by and couldn't wait for his car. So he was like, all right, I need to wash it now. I'll just sit here in the lobby of the dealership or whatever.
Yeah.
And he basically comes by with his dog. It was like a Doberman, by the way. And he watches us clean his car for like half an hour.
That's creepy.
He's just sitting there outside of the bay watching us clean the car.
Yeah.
I'm just like sitting there going, what are you waiting for, dude? We serve drinks inside. You can go in. You come across a lot of weird people. You have to do a lot of weird stuff, too. There's a lot of weird stuff that you do not expect that goes on at a dealership. It was like 7 in the morning, right? I just got there. We had no cars to wash. And so I'm sitting there. I don't think I've told you this story before, but I was sitting there, and I was like, all right, I wonder what else there's to do. And I went downstairs to the other dealership because they're like a partner or whatever. And I was like, hey, do you guys have any cars for me to wash? And the manager there, who I've known for a while, because my dad's worked at the dealership for like years.
Yeah.
He goes, no, but a squirrel died on the hill. It was like a small hill that I didn't take. I took like the road. There's a squirrel died along this hill, along the pavement. And he hasn't decomposed yet. Because it's like winter and the body got preserved.
Yeah.
So he was like, can you take a snow shovel and scrape the dead squirrel off of the pavement for me? And I'm like, normally I would say no, but I don't have any cars to wash.
Yeah.
So why not? You know?
Fucking
It was a
Christ.
weird experience. I had to park cars in a mall one time. Like, you know how there are, like, cars inside the mall, like, on display or whatever?
Yeah.
You don't think about it, but, like, the cars had to get there somehow.
I always assume that they're like airlifted in because the
No.
doors never seem big enough.
You would expect them for there to be, like, secret bay doors. But there's not. They're, like, they take the doors off the hinges. And they slide the car through. That's exactly what they do, is they take the doors off the hinges. So I had to drive a car through there one time. In the springtime, sometimes there are deer in Colorado. I don't know if, like, people take deer for granted still, but I hate deer. They're awful.
Yeah.
They chew up the flowers in the garden outside of the house or whatever. They're
kinda
pests
scary,
basically
too.
at this point. There's like a meadow outside of one of the manager's windows at the dealership, and the deer like to lie down in the grass sometimes. Like during the summer because it's nice and cool and it's shaded. The meadow is like shaded. One of the deer lied down and just died. And like the other deer just like stared at the dead deer, just like walked away eventually. But you don't think about there just being like a dead deer there for like an hour and a half. So there was just like a dead deer there for an hour and a half until one of the managers got one of the tech guys and had him bring out a tarp and wrap the dead deer up and throw the tarp in the dumpster.
Jesus.
It's a weird situation to be in, don't you think?
Okay. Well.
A lot of dead air.
Well,
My
that-
voice hurts. I don't know why. I've talked for longer than this before, but my voice hurts for some reason.
Oh, it's fine. We got like a good amount of. God damn it. We got.
You turned your phone off? I turned my phone off, Claire.
Shut up.
Make me.
But fucking, my boss wants to know if I can come in Sunday to work for lunch, and I'm gonna tell him no.
Why?
Because listen, I cherish the days off work I get. I don't mind going into work, but it's very difficult work, and I haven't worked in a long time, so I'm not exactly used to it.
You're just a waiter. Like, I imagine it's
Waitress.
physically tolling, but...
No, you'd be surprised. It's basically running around for 6 hours straight. 7
I mean,
actually.
I'm on my hands and knees cleaning cars.
I'm aware. I run back and forth for 7 hours a day with intermittent heavy lifting.
Yeah, I
And,
mean...
like, it's emotionally tolling because I constantly need to be talking to people, which is not something that I'm used to.
You're just not a
So-
social person.
No, not really. I'm kind of a social butterfly, but you really need to get to know me before I'm like that.
Yeah, that's how I
Like,
am. Like, when
I'm
I
a
interact
social
with a
butterfly
stranger,
with
I'm just
people I
like...
trust.
Yeah, I'm only really open with people that I'm, like, comfortable with. If I could talk to a stranger, it's, like, the most awkward thing on the planet. It's like,
Yeah.
so, how's it going? It's like bad small talk.
I'm more like a social moth, where if you don't, like, get me, then you just think I'm weird and creepy.
Moths are stupid.
I don't know. There's more useless animals out there.
Like wasps and
Mosquitoes.
mosquitoes. They're the only insects that go out of my way to kill.
Yeah, I don't like killing anything, but mosquitoes, like, they're a pest, they suck your blood, and there's that whole malaria thing, so...
The
Can't
thing is
risk
that,
it.
like, if I don't care about insects or animals or whatever as long as they're not touching me.
Yeah.
If I wake up with, like, a spider on my chest, I'll swat the spider and kill it, and I have no qualms with that. It did not deserve to be on my chest.
I don't kill anything. Like, if I wake up and there's, like, a beetle on me, I'll just take it outside.
No, I will kill it. It did not deserve my body heat. I worked hard for that body heat.
I don't
Didn't
know.
deserve it. So I'll kill that. But, like, if I see a spider, like, on the ground, like, in the kitchen, I won't kill it. I'll just, like, shoo it out of the house into into the garden or whatever. Like, I don't care. If I see a wasp or a mosquito, though, I will, like, take off my shoe and beat them.
I don't kill wasps, but I do kill
I
mosquitoes.
will murder a wasp. I have no problem stomping on a wasp. Quickest way to kill a wasp, spray it with something, and while it's on the ground, step on it.
Hairspray is a good one.
Well, that's flammable.
So? Are
So
you
you could
planning on
burn
burning
them.
it?
Well, no, you could spray the wasp, and while it's on the ground, you can set it on fire.
No, I'm saying that hairspray will kill any bug because you know how like hairspray keeps your hair up, it makes it all rigid and shit?
Yeah.
It basically does that to all of their limbs.
So they're not really dead, they just, like, can't
No,
move.
it entirely immobilizes them so you can kill them.
I don't know. The thing about wasps and mosquitoes is that they're not a part of the food chain.
Not really. They're their own thing.
Like, animals don't, like, birds and stuff and like, animals that eat insects don't eat mosquitoes.
Fish
Because
do.
they know that mosquitoes are small and they don't taste like anything and they carry disease. So they don't eat mosquitoes.
Pretty sure a lot of fish eat mosquitoes. But I think that's
Well, it
also
depends.
because lots of mosquitoes congregate around lakes.
Yeah. But
So,
the
like,
thing with wasps is that they don't taste like anything and they're not very meaty. Have you ever seen a wasp before?
Yeah, they're
There's not a
mostly
whole lot of
exoskeleton.
sustenance. Yeah. But the kicker is that they release a pheromone, like a chemical when they die.
Yeah, that makes
when
other
you
wasps
snap them in
attack.
half. Well, it also smells and tastes terrible. It's like a ladybug.
Oh.
So animals don't like eating them either.
I think when an animal eats a mosquito, it doesn't just eat a mosquito, it just, like, goes for a swarm of mosquitoes and eats what it can.
Yeah, probably.
Like a fish will leap out of the water and get, like, 10 mosquitoes. Or a frog or something.
Imagine that being a way to die. Imagine being a mosquito, Claire, and flying near water, and just a giant fish leaps out of the water and eats you.
Like a scene from RE4. Have I told you about the frogs?
What are you talking about?
Since I moved here, I've noticed that at night there's like 1 billion frogs outside of my house that never shut the fuck up. So, like, in the day, it's very quiet and peaceful here, but at night, it's just 1 million...
Stupid frog noises.
There's like 1 billion of them, and they are all making sounds all night long.
I can't. I was about to try to do a frog noise. I can't even, man. My new controller covering smells weird. It smells like a. Do you remember the gas at the dentist that like a dentist will use to gas you?
I know the exact smell you're talking about, because I know lots of rubber that smells
It's
like that.
yeah, it's rubber.
I love it.
No, it smells terrible, man. What are you talking about?
I love it.
It feels really good though. It has this is a really good grip though. This was worth the $3 I paid for it.
Reminds me of
It's
watching
bumped on the
Land
back
Before Time.
of the grip.
Hmm.
And the front of the grip is this green studded green studded plastic.
Reminds
That's
me
super
of
good.
being a kid and going to the dentist and watching Clifford the Big Red Dog in the Land Before Time.
What?
That smell. It reminds me of when I was a kid. There was a Sunday where I was watching Clifford and my mom decided she was going to take me to the dentist and they had a Land Before Time playing there. So I watched that.
Did you know that the lead character of the Land Before Time was killed and abducted by their father?
You're talking about Ducky. She wasn't the lead.
Oh, I never watched Land Before Time, but I vaguely remember one of the very important characters.
Yeah, Ducky is one of the main. Let me think. There's Littlefoot. There's Petrie. There's Ducky. There's
Petrie. That's hilarious.
There's Ducky's retarded brother Spike, and there's Sarah. So there's 5. She's one of the 5 characters. Ducky is the little tiny raptor thing, and she says yep 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 a lot.
Oh man, I kind of feel bad now. You gave her character. You didn't need to do that.
I like how there are all these characters. There's Petrie and Littlefoot, and then there's just the bitch that's named Sarah. I mean,
the writers got inventive.
it's like Triceratops, I get that, but it's still funny that it's just fucking Sarah.
Do you remember some of those old animated like movies? Like, do you remember what was the one, Brave Little Toaster?
Yeah, I love Brave Little Toaster.
That movie is dark.
I love it. I love the scene with the, like, Jack Nicholson-ass air conditioner. It's a conspiracy, man.
I love the entire broken appliance store. That, like, terrified me as a kid.
Oh, I love that place where they play a B-movie.
What?
That's the name of the song. Like, B-movie, like a B-movie. You know, like a bad movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the B movie with
Yeah,
Jerry
I know.
Seinfeld.
I
I'm like, what are you
realized
talking about, man?
I realized immediately after I said it that I was like, B-movie, and you're like, what? No, but the whole song for that part's really good. I like musicals in general. I wish that I could be in a musical.
No, you do not.
I don't have the acting ability for it. I think
You
I
don't
could...
need to act. All you have to do is sing.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, because believe it or not, musicals have stories.
Oh, you know what a really good example of that is?
What?
High School Musical.
Ew.
The
No,
acting talent in that is palpable, man.
No, but I don't know. Like, if I could be an extra in a production of like Little Shop of Horrors, that would be rad. Or if I could just fucking go and see a good performance of Little Shop of Horrors.
You want to see Hamilton with me?
No. Little Shop is my favorite fucking musical.
I don't have a musical. I don't watch them because they're stupid.
I like it, and I like Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd. I mean, yeah, I saw the movie and it was good.
Yes.
I didn't even know Johnny Depp could sing. I mean, you don't think about Captain Jack Sparrow being able to sing.
Johnny Depp takes a lot of roles.
Yeah, he does. He was
A lot
Tonto
of
in
them
The Lone Ranger.
I know, I was gonna say, a lot of them are kind of poopy. Okay, I think it's time for us to finish it up.
You know, it looks like this is an hour and 58 minutes long, but we're going to have to cut a lot of this podcast out, so... I mean, we can wrap it up anyway if you want. My voice is getting tired.
It'll probably be fine.
Okay.
So,
man.
let's wrap things up with what we were talking about, the improv thing. We're gonna...
I feel kind of bad. I was supposed to get my Immortal done today.
It's fine.
It's not fine.
It's not like the demand is too insanely high yet.
All 8 of my viewers want my Immortal.
Okay, so, I'll start off with, like, a sentence or two, then you continue it, and we'll go back and forth until we reach a conclusion of the story.
What do you define as a conclusion?
I don't know, like, when we can just, like, agree, okay, the end.
I'm gonna kill this character off as quickly as possible.
Don't do that, try to make it interesting.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so the theme is horror. Alright, so I'll start off. When I was a young child, I lived in fucking Flint, Michigan. But then I moved to bumfuck nowhere, Oregon. And I used to play in the woods all the time. Okay, go.
And then I came home one day, and my wife handed me divorce papers.
How could you do this? I said. I thought I loved you. But then, my wife turned around, and she had no face.
Okay, I asked her where her face went, but she couldn't talk because she had no face.
All she said was...
This story is taking a weird turn. I don't fucking like this.
Then I fucking laughed. Just fucking bolted because that bitch was
What
whack
kind of an
anyways.
arc of a story was that, Claire? I used to live in a rural town, then I moved to the middle of nowhere. I came home one day to find my wife handing me divorce papers. She had no face, so I left.
And she went, oh!
Alright, we need to try this again.
Okay, you started off.
I don't want to start this off, man. Fine. One day, both of my parents were out of town on vacation, and they left me at home. They left me home alone, finally, because I was old enough to not need a babysitter anymore.
I sat down on the couch like normal and decided to put on some of my favorite programs. You know the ones. Adventure Time and SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, like a kid like me would watch. But when I turned on the TV, I noticed something strange was going on.
I saw a reflection in the TV screen when I turned it off. I thought I could have sworn for a moment that I saw Willem Dafoe's face. I turned around, but he wasn't there.
I felt a little bit shaken up. I've always had a really, strange fear for William Dafoe. It's always been there. I've talked to therapists about it, but they said that it wasn't anything to be worried about. I tried to get rid of the, thought, because I heard the oven going off, because my pizza was done.
I walked into the kitchen to find Willem Dafoe naked, spread eagle on my kitchen floor. He had the pizza on his crotch.
Willem moved the pizza. I knew immediately that it wasn't possible that was Willem Dafoe. His penis was way too big.
But his voice reassured me of his existence. Can you do Willem Dafoe? I don't do a good Willem Dafoe impression.
I don't remember what he sounds like. I could do Willem Dafoe and Beyond Two Souls.
How about we avoid the impressions for now?
Okay. Staring into his eyes, I saw lust. I knew that this couldn't end well. Tactically, I turned around and began to run. I did a flip and somersaulted through the window in my front door. I bolted off into the woods.
As I was scurrying through the woods, I heard footsteps from all around me. It was Willem Dafoe. He had cloned himself.
Looking in the trees, I realized that I had walked directly into a trap. I could see the dicks hanging out of the branches as Willem Dafoe's covered the entire forest. So I did the only thing I knew how to. I pretended to be like Knuckles in Sonic Adventure Battle 2 and I dug into the ground.
Can we stop? I don't want to do this anymore. This is weird.
You gotta finish the story.
That is the end of the story.
What kind of story is that?
What do you... Better than the first one.
My parents left me home alone, and I tried to have pizza, but Willem Dafoe wanted to fuck me. So I ran out into the woods, but there were 100 Willem Dafoes, so I dug into the ground like an echidna. What kind of story is that?
It's a pretty common story. It happens more often than you'd think, Claire.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode of X-Files.
Ah, yes. I remember that in the CSI in Miami.
Yeah, the name of the episode was Defriend or Defoe.
Okay. We could do a couple more. Just start again.
Okay, let's just, you come up with a topic, since horror is gonna get played out if we keep doing it.
What do you mean? These are great.
Okay, then we'll do another one. This time let's do, that sick video game horror story. Okay, so, it was my birthday. I had finally turned 12, and I had gotten a whole $20 from my mom in a birthday card. I decided that I was gonna go out and buy a video game for my Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
I was looking through the shelves of the Entertain Mart, but I wasn't finding any game that appealed to me. Then I saw it. A video game called Sonic Adventures 2. I bought it, and I brought it to the cashier, and I took it home with me, so excited to play this game.
It was funny. I didn't think that Sonic Adventure 2 was on SNES. I thought that it was only GameCube exclusive. Nonetheless, I shrugged it off and got home. I started to put it into my Nintendo system, but suddenly, it seemed like the sticker was peeling off. I peeled the rest of it and realized that it had a different title under it.
The real game that I bought was Hello Kitty Island Adventure 2.
I began to scream as Hello Kitty's face appeared on the screen. I didn't like that. I was a boy, and boys don't like Hello Kitty, so I was pissed. I tried to pull it out of my console, but then I heard a strange noise coming from the TV.
Then, blood started dripping from the walls. I screamed for help, but God did not answer.
On the screen, Hello Kitty's face turned hyper-realistic and angry. Her mouth was full of sharp, razor-like teeth, and her eyeballs were like that of a real cat staring deep into my soul.
She growled at me. How dare you wear my underwear? You are a 12-year-old boy.
I began to cry. I didn't think anybody had known. My underwear were all dirty, and I had stolen a pair of my mother's so that I wasn't going commando all day.
I was surprised that my 40-year-old mother had a pair of Hello Kitty Island Adventure underwear, but I thought nothing of it because I had no underwear on.
But then I realized the underwear were cursed. They linked up with the video game, and now Hello Kitty could possess my dick.
Hello Kitty possessed my dick. It made it lunge forward from my pelvis. It inserted itself into the SNES system.
I began to scream as the electricity pulsed through my veins. My atoms were decomposed into fucking video game code, and I was sucked into the game with her. I turned around, and now I was face to face with the heart of darkness. Face to face with Hello Kitty.
Alright, we need to stop this.
You keep stopping it right when it gets good.
What do you want me to end the story as, Claire? What ending would make you satisfied?
I don't know, I think there's like a specific point in every story where you realize we've gone overboard, and you try to keep it going, but it doesn't work.
Well,
Like
I don't know. Maybe the point in this story was the fact that his dick got sucked into the SNES system, and he turned into pixel code.
I was gonna say, the moment I said Hello Kitty can possess my dick, I think we were kind of screwed.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore, Claire.
Okay, last one. In this one, we're gonna create an urban legend.
We are not going to create an urban legend.
Yeah. I'm gonna start describing something spooky and paranormal, and then you're gonna like bounce off of it, and we're gonna.
Do you want to make this real, or am I gonna have to add my own humor to this?
Wait, what?
Do you want me to make this like legitimately scary, or what?
No, yeah, we can try to make something actually.
Oh my god,
creepy.
fine, whatever.
Okay, so we're gonna make it so that this urban legend takes place in the middle of some dank-ass woods in the center of Washington. They
By
say...
dank, do you mean full of weed, or dank as in
No,
like,
dank
wet?
as in like gross and moist.
Okay, don't say moist.
Moist.
I knew what you were gonna do, and I immediately muted my mic.
So you couldn't hear it?
I don't know what you said, but I guarantee you got close to your mic and said moist.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I thought.
So let's just like spitball what you think the scariest urban legend that you could hear would be. Like,
I don't know.
let's
Go
say
Man
that-
terrified me when I heard it.
Let's say that whatever we decide here, this is like a Nickelodeon special where we don't realize it, but like a demon has slipped inside my microphone, and now whatever we say about this urban legend, it's gonna make real. What do you think the scariest urban legend we could put down in the middle of Washington would be?
I was always terrified of shape-shifting monsters, and the Japanese, the Chinese Nopabara Bo always scared the crap out of me, because it was this demon that could transform into your family and stuff, but it didn't have a face.
How is that spelled?
Like, and the thing is that it had the power to control people's mind, so you didn't know that anything was wrong until it was too late.
How do you spell that thing's name?
Nopabara Bo, Noppabara, and then hyphen Bo. If I remember that correctly, I remember there was a couple of folk tales. The Chinese
There it
have
is.
weird ass demons, dude.
Noparabo. Ooh. I don't like that.
Are you googling it?
Yeah. A faceless ghost is a Japanese yokai that looks like a human but has no face. Gross. They can assume
It would
form-
punish the wicked by transforming into their loved ones and scaring them.
When I was younger, I always wanted horror stuff to be real. I might have talked about this already. I don't know. I I've always had a very dark sense of fascination with things. Like, anything weird or creepy or unsettling just triggered something in my brain where I wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, I know, I'm the same way.
Even though read, like, the scariest shit in the world, I would think, imagine if that was real, and I would think of that as being, like, a cool thing. And, I don't know what the scariest thing that could be real would be. Like, when I was a kid, I thought it was Slender Man, but that's kind of stupid now.
Well, I like the idea of something that you can't kill, like the clown from It.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of did kill it.
Well, they weren't supposed to be able to kill it. They did a weird ritual and.
It wasn't a weird ritual. They gangbanged the girl in the group.
What?
Have you read the book?
I remember reading the synopsis. I do not remember that.
In the book, the children have a very descriptive orgy. Because
That's not true.
that is 100% true. I'm not fucking with you.
You
Because
are lying to me.
the only reason that Pennywise affects them is because of their innocence. So they decide that they'll get rid of their innocence. So the guys just line up and fucking run a train on the girl in the group.
Is it consensual?
I don't remember. I think so. I think, like, she's doing it too, because, like, she also doesn't want to be haunted by Pennywise. But it's gross. It's, like, really descriptive, like an orgy between children.
God damn it, Stephen King. What's wrong with you?
No, but, I don't know. I've always thought the scariest kind of thing that could be real is something that you can't understand. Like, that's the sort of thing that made the Slender Man shit scary when it first came out, was the fact that it was scary just as a concept. It's like a creepy big dude, but it's also
And then people
scary.
drew porn of it.
It's also scary because you don't understand fully what you're seeing or what's going on. The sort of mystery around it very heavily influences your fear. Because the less you understand why something does what it does, the more that's gonna fuck with you, you know? Like, which is scarier, seeing that there's a monster and it wants to kill you, or knowing that there's a monster and having no idea what its intentions are?
I mean, that's kind of why the Goat Man kind of freaked me out, is because they didn't really...
If it wanted to, it could have just killed them right out. But it didn't. It pretended to be one of them. And that's terrifying. And that's the thing about good horror in general, is that it's not about that shitting your pants running away from a monster moment. It's about that, like... It's about those questions that you'll never get an answer to. Because you're not meant to get an answer to them. It's like, this house has people in it. That thing is legitimately upsetting. And it's not like anything. It's upsetting because you're seeing a girl fucking phase through the floor and you don't understand a single thing that's going on. And that's terrifying. You don't know what's happening, but there's panic. And that panic, mixed with you not knowing what the fuck is going on, just makes it so much more palpably terrifying. I've always thought that, like, that's how you do real good horror. Is that you need to take something that people don't know that they're afraid of, or something that people never even considered could be terrifying, and you turn it into a new fear. And I don't know, I haven't seen anything like that in a long time. I mean, like, I am always looking for terrifying shit online. I'm always looking for the weirdest, scariest, and most importantly, least known scary shit that I can find. But it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's not easy at all to find shit like this, because a lot of people have the same idea. And so, you know, when something is really scary and it's online, chances are, if it's well made, then it's gonna get, like, a lot of fans around it. And I feel like something can't be as scary if there's a lot of people who like it. because, like, the aspect of isolating yourself and knowing about this thing is part of the reason that it's so scary. I don't know, if you had more viewers, I would totally be like, hey, send me scary shit you find anytime. But, like, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like something that you don't anticipate being scary.
I mean, 90% of it is good writing. You take something and you just make it something that people didn't realize they were afraid of. It's like the first person to look at a ventriloquist dummy and say, this is kind of creepy, and so they wrote a horror story about it. And a lot of people maybe had the thought that ventriloquist dummies were a little bit creepy, but until the fiction came out that, placed this thing in a position where it is, an antagonist, they didn't realize just how scared of it they were. I asked a roommate the other day, like, if you got into a mansion, like, let's say your great uncle Ford dies, and he leaves you his mansion, and you don't need to sleep in it or whatever. You can sell it if you want, but you're gonna go through it first to make sure you didn't leave anything valuable, right? So you go into his mansion, and it's labyrinthian, it's enormous. You go upstairs to, like, the 3rd floor, and on the 3rd floor, in the 5th door down, you open it, and in that room is nothing except a chair facing away from the door with a ventriloquist dummy in it. How would you react to that?
I feel like, hey uncle, stop fucking with me from the grave.
Like, would you shit your pants if that happened?
No, I would go, why is that dummy in here? And if I had a huge house like that, that's how I would mess with people.
Well, let me ask you something. What if, let's say, your uncle was a bit of a trickster, and he wired some shit up in his house? So you open the door, and there's no lights on in the room, but you see, like, the outline of the dummy. You can't tell it's a dummy yet, but you're a smart guy, you assume it's a doll of some kind. But there's a thing you don't know about, where when you flick the light on, it also activates a mechanism under the dummy. So the chair turns around towards you, and the dummy rises off of it and starts moving towards you.
I mean, at that point, I would, like, run my hand over the dummy to see if there's any wires.
Really? You wouldn't, like, shit your pants and run away if the dummy was coming towards you?
No.
Really? Not at all?
When I get scared, I get violent. I don't...
Like, I don't know.
It's just not my style, man.
I was thinking about it. There's a lot of different ways I would react to horrible stuff. If I went to the bathroom at work, and I walked into the women's room, opened up the stall, and there was just, like, a decrepit, like, monstrous goblin looking at me. Like, just a tiny shriveled up black thing with, like, big teeth, and it's just like, it's just, like, screaming at me or whatever. I would just be like, it's too fucking early for this, and leave.
I would be, you're not a girl.
What? Oh, yeah, say that to the goblin. Be like,
why are you in the women's room? You're not a girl.
Excuse you, Mr. Goblin. Can you not read the sign? This is the women's room, and it's just like oh, sorry.
I feel like people would be afraid to try and scare me because I'd punch them in the mouth.
Wait, what did you say?
Like, if I was in a haunted house, I'd, like, punch the monsters in the mouth.
I've been reading about a really interesting horror thing that I want to do. There's this company that makes, haunted houses, and this is the most extreme haunted house you can go to. It's called Blackout. And, Blackout, they make haunted houses where, you need to sign a lot of waivers in the beginning, because the people in the house are allowed to touch you. They're allowed to touch you, they're allowed to shove you, they can beat the shit out of you if you want, and they're allowed to put potentially vile and disgusting things into your mouth.
Oh, God damn it, my mother's calling me. We're gonna have to wrap up this podcast. I'm just gonna probably cut this podcast along somewhere along the line.
But I sort of dipped in and out of, being there.
Great, I found a letter in my room and it said boo. Was that you?
Dude.
Was that you?
Dude.
What?
That was
that
cool.
I
you?
took a shit earlier, and it was like an inch longer than my usual shits.
No! I found.
Can
a
I
letter.
take
It
a
looks-
picture and leave it in the letter for you?
It looks like your handwriting.
No, this is important for me too. Can I take a picture of my shit and leave it
I
for
just
the letter
wanted
in
to
here?
ask the question.
No, I have to ask the question too. Does it look weird? I'm curious about my own shit.
Are you recording something?
Yes, I'm recording something,
I'm sorry,
you
I
weirdo.
didn't know you were recording. Someone
Yes,
left
I left the letter in your room.
Really? 'Cause
Get out.
I also have another question. What's harassment mean?
Okay.
What do you mean?
we'll-
What does
we'll cut-
harassment
Is
mean?
that like verbally saying? Something
That's
bad?
bothering somebody, like you're doing to me now. Get out.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll cut all that out.
No, I'm leaving that in.
No, cut it out. Or at least, like, fucking juxtapose it at the end of the story.
Ray, are you recording? Are you? You're just ignoring me now.
I'm gonna
I
fucking.
will stop pestering you. Hello. Your door's already open.
I'm gonna fucking
I have a
kill you.
question. Don't
I'm
delete
going
that. Did
to
you
kill
delete
you.
It? Did you delete it?
The more you interrupt me, the more editing I'm gonna have to do later. Stop
No,
it.
I just want to know. Did you delete it?
I have to cut it out later.
No, I want to hear it later.
Stop it.
Please don't delete it.
Fine.
Good.
Stop bothering me. You're upsetting Claire.